You don't sing a song. You hardly talk to me anymore. When I come through the door at the end of the day, I remember when you couldn't wait to love me, used to hate to leave me. Now after loving me late at night, when it's good for you, babe, you're feeling alright. Well, you just roll over and turn off the light. And you don't bring me flowers anymore. It used to be so natural. Talk about forever. What used to be's don't count anymore. They just lay on the floor till we sweep them away. Baby, I remember all the things you taught me. I learned how to laugh and I learned how to cry. Well, I learned how to love and I learned how to lie. So you think I could learn how to tell you goodbye? You don't bring me flowers anymore. When you think I could learn how to tell you goodbye, you don't say you need me. You don't sing a song. You don't bring me flowers anymore.
Championship game. Kick is up, and the kick is no good. Cal is going to win it, and Duke will play for the ACC championship. SMU with it all on the line, a spot in the ACC championship game, and it just hangs too much to the right. And a 12-game November winning streak will come to an end. I'm back on the sideline wearing a headset since he was dismissed at Washington State in 2021. Reason to celebrate for the Cal Golden Bears. First winning season.
All right, folks. SMU left their heart in Northern California on last Saturday night, missing a field goal at the end of the game to send Duke to the ACC championship game this weekend versus UVA. So that's going to be the battle down in Charlotte this weekend. Thanks for joining us here on Sports Talk with Chris Heidel here on a crisp, not really nice day, rainy day, wherever you are. You know, if you're in Maryland, it's supposed to snow, rain, whatever. So anyway, we got a great show lined up here for tonight. We got Jerry Ratcliffe joining us in a minute to talk about UVA taking on Duke on Saturday night down in the Queen City of Charlotte. And then we'll do our previews of other games going on. We got Troy, we got the Sun Belt, we got the Big Ten, we got the SEC, we got the Mountain West, we got, you name it, we got it.
Yeah,
Plus,
you get it.
And plus, we were trying to get our friend Elbert, who used to play for the Steelers, our good friend Elbert, but he's under the weather, so he'll be joining us probably next week. So we'll still talk about Steelers and Ravens a little bit later in the show. So first off, let's bring in Jerry Ratcliffe, who been covering UVA for a very long time, since the days of I knew him, so he's here on the show. So let's get Jerry here in a minute. I gotta get this.
And knowing Jerry, we will probably see him.
Yes, you probably will see Jerry down there. Hi, Jerry. How you doing?
Hi, Jerry.
Great, Chris. Hey, Adam. How you guys doing tonight?
Fine.
Thank you for coming on tonight. And how surprised do you think of UVA being in the championship this year? Because I know in the beginning of the year, everybody was still thinking they're not going to be any good until they took care of Florida State in double overtime, and then everybody is now going to say, "Oh, they're pretty good this year."
Yeah, Chris, I think everybody was pretty skeptical until we realized just what a haul they had made in the transfer portal with the NIL money. And I don't think any of us realized at that point the investment they had put into putting this roster together. And what a job they did. I mean, not only did they bring in guys from Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama, championship style programs, but they found guys from Elon and North Carolina Central and Tennessee Tech and other small schools that have been great contributors. So they did an incredible job in research and finding people who could really help advance this program. And it kind of blew our minds when we found out that once that $25 million pennies from heaven came in out of nowhere from an anonymous donor, the guys, the GM, assistant GM, and they came into the big war room where they have all their recruiting plans in order up on the wall, each position, all the way down as far as depth. And those guys told the coaches, said, forget all that up there. We're starting all over again. We're going big game hunting. And, I think had everybody realized that at the beginning, we probably would have thought that Virginia would do much better. I thought they would go 7-5 and maybe 8-4 at the best if everything went perfectly. And had I known how good this haul of talent was, I would have probably picked them to win a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, these two teams played each other basically a couple weeks ago.
15 days.
Yeah, 15 days ago. So, and it's a whole different team 15 days ago because Duke at the time, he didn't even think Duke was going to be in the ACC championship game because he thought it was going to be Georgia Tech or Miami or SMU. And all of a sudden, Duke just comes out of nowhere on Saturday after SMU loses on that last-minute field goal they missed. And Duke's going to the ACC championship game, and everybody's going, you have a 5-loss team in the conference title game. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected that either. And particularly after they lost to UConn and Virginia dominated them the way they did. They were up 31-3 at one point when Tony Elliott called off the Dogs, and they held their $8 million quarterback, Mensa, to 100 yards less than his per game average. He came into that game number 2 in the nation in passing, and they really held him down to like 210 yards. And Virginia just dominated that game in every phase, every facet that you could imagine.
Yeah, and it's when Adam and I saw you guys play against Florida State, because we're big Florida State guys, and the way they came in that game, that was basically Virginia's Super Bowl pretty much at that time, because the program's been down since that situation with the 3 kids that passed away because of tragedy by somebody killing them on the school bus, and I feel like that was your guys' Super Bowl. Like what a good way to bring UVA back out of the doldrums, beating a good Florida State school, Florida State team in double overtime, and then you guys just kept rolling right after that. It was just like nonstop, like 3 straight games in overtime. Yeah, it's like you're always playing in overtime. So if we see it on Saturday night, you're used to overtime.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, it used to be they would find ways to lose one-score games,
Right.
and this year they found ways to win them. A lot of that, again, goes back to the roster they put together, and it's probably, Chris, Adam, probably the deepest Virginia team that has ever been. They have depth
Yep.
at every position on the field, and that has allowed them to liberally rotate personnel on both sides of the football, particularly on defense, and they stay fresh the entire game. So that's one reason that they've probably been pretty darn good late in the fourth quarter and in overtime.
Right. Adam, you have a question for Jerry?
Yeah. So Jerry, you mentioned some schools that Virginia got in the transfer portal, but your quarterback Chandler Morris, who came out of North Texas, he has been really sensational this year. I don't think anyone expected this when he got to Charlottesville. So, what's your take on how Chandler Morris has done coming over from North Texas in the American Conference now to a, I guess I could say, Power 4 or Power 5 conference in the ACC?
Yeah, Adam, you're right. He's been dynamite. I mean, the kid is such a team leader on and off the field. He's got an incredible football IQ. He can make every throw. He's tough, gritty. He's probably just about anything you would want in a quarterback. And he had played at Oklahoma and TCU. Was actually the starting quarterback on that TCU team that ended up in the national championship. He got hurt early in the season and couldn't finish, but he was on that team. And his coach at North Texas was quoted just the other day saying that he had coached a lot of really good quarterbacks. I think this guy's known as sort of a quarterback whisperer. Just took the Oklahoma State job, but he had said in an interview that of all the quarterbacks he's coached, including Patrick Mahomes and some other people, that Chandler Morris was the very best at being accurate while throwing on the run. So many accolades that have come his way, and he's not a cocky kid. He's very low key. He doesn't go out and party and stuff. He goes home and plays with these dogs at night. he's a very low key guy, but he's been perfect for this team, and he's just one of those guys that we mentioned, that's been experienced playing or being on a team that's been in a championship game. And a lot of people laughed at him when he got here back before spring ball, and he told, the first thing he said to his teammates when he got here was, "I didn't come all the way from Texas to Virginia not to win a championship." He said, "I'm here to win a championship." And a lot of people laughed and thought he was crazy, but he's got the last laugh now.
Oh, does he? Yeah.
Locals down there, Jerry. I know about the locals down there in Harrisonburg and around you guys. They're probably looking at him like, "Oh, look at this hick from Texas, thinking he's going to win everything." Like, good Lord, seriously?
Yeah.
And now he's sitting there at the he's getting a free meal in Charlottesville now. So he's like, "Hey, I told you." Yeah, pretty much.
He'll never have to buy a drink again in this town. That's for sure.
No.
He can run for mayor. Yeah, he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's a great story, at Virginia. I've been, I followed you guys for years, and with the tragedy with that serious issue with the three kids, the three players getting, I felt like that set the program back like 3 or 4 years, and Coach Elliott was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think now he feels like he got him out of the dark woods, and now everything's bright again, and hopefully, because we haven't seen this since Bronco Mendenhall was here, and he just left, right after, I guess you guys made it to the championship game, 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that game because I was there watching that game up in the press box, and I think it was a rainy day that day. It always rains on the ACC championship game, no matter what.
Been there enough to know that.
Luckily we don't get snow on Saturdays down there in Charlotte. Luckily,
I hope not.
No.
Yeah. Adam, you have anything else for Jerry?
Yeah. So and just talk about the year that Virginia has had as a whole. They have been a team that like you said, at the beginning of the ACC season, that no one expected to be here. So, what are some key moments from Virginia's season that you'll remember? Going forward.
Yeah. Well, I think, Adam, all those overtime games, particularly 3 in a row, and then coming down to the very end of the Washington State game as well. And Cam Robinson, the linebacker, tackling one of the Cougars in the end zone for a winning safety. Those were all spectacular. Just the way that they dominated the end of the season, even though they lost that game to Wake Forest. It still came down to the last play of the game and a backup quarterback throwing an incomplete pass on the last play. They could have won that game. And they, of course, ending the shorter streak against Virginia Tech. They hadn't beaten 2019. And they thoroughly dominated them Saturday night. And it's been good to see football come alive in this city again. It's been a while. Even in 2019, I don't think they generated quite the excitement that this team has, because they were having games that they still had difficulty drawing. But this year, the last 3-4 games, they've had 50 to 56,000 fans. For years they said, "What are we doing wrong? We try all these promotions and things to try to draw fans. We can't get them." The secret was all they had to do was win.
Especially when they knocked off Florida State on the 30th anniversary of when Florida State was ranked and Virginia knocked them off at Scott Stadium. It was like that was I mean, I understand they rushed the field, but they should have waited until after Florida State left, because, there was that Florida State player in the end zone, and I thought he was going to get trampled. And I was like, guys, I know you're happy, but wait until Florida State is off the field, then go and,
I think it'd been so long since they rushed the field. They didn't have much practice on how to do it. They did a better job Saturday night after the Tech.
Oh, they did. Yes, they
did. I think they waited for the players to leave this time around, and then they
actually were smarter compared to Florida State.
Absolutely.
Are you going to make the trip, to Charlotte on Saturday?
It's going to be a long day because the basketball team plays Dayton there.
It's called. Chris and I will be there.
We're going to do a doubleheader on Saturday. That's the plan.
Yeah, me too. So that's it's going to
be
a long day.
We'll see you.
If you see me in the press box, Jerry, taking a nap, just leave me be.
It's called. It's called
a nap too.
And we'll see you Friday for. Tony Elliott's press conference at Bank of America Stadium.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Jerry. Have a safe trip down there. We'll see you then.
Okay, guys. Godspeed. We'll see you Friday.
All right, see you later.
See you Friday, Jerry.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, that's the great Jerry Ratcliffe, who covers UVA for a very long time.
Yes.
Has his own sports media outlet, JerryRatcliffe.com. So he does all this, stuff that he does on the side. So we're going to talk about another thing going on in the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth. You got to go up I think that's what's that road going up from Charlottesville to Harrisonburg. Anyway, going up
It's
there.
not 81.
No, 81 is on the other side. It's
Yeah.
It's I gotta ask my dad. If my dad's watching it, send me a message. So anyway, so we're the Dukes of JMU are hosting their first ever title game. This is first for them in their history of their school, because when they're in the CAA, they didn't really have a title game.
They did.
So Troy is going to be making the trip from Alabama to Virginia for a battle between two good schools, and let's bring in Josh Boutwell. I hope I'm saying it right, from the Troy Messenger. So, hey, Josh, how you doing?
Hey, Josh, you're muted.
You're muted. Can you hear us?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Okay, cool.
Hey, don't worry. Everybody does that on our show. It's some kind of like
Yeah. Even us. You're good.
Yeah, we're good. Thanks for coming on tonight. So, talk about this game. Sorry, JMU. JMU is a very good team in the Sun Belt. I saw them back in the CAA, so I know what they look like from the last couple of years when they were in that conference. But just talk about this game on Friday night in Harrisonburg.
Yeah, if you would have asked anybody in Troy a few months ago if they thought this was going to be a possibility, they would have probably laughed at you. Troy, we're talking about a team that lost their starting tailback before the season even started, starting quarterback week 3, both starting offensive tackles. There's been a struggle all year. It's probably kind of an improbable turnaround for Troy in the middle of the year, really. And JMU, probably the most consistent team in the Sun Belt this whole year. I believe they have the number 1 offense, number 1 scoring defense, probably the best tailback in the conference, one of the best quarterbacks. So it's going to be a tall order for Troy. They kind of had a motto of overcoming adversity this year, and they got another one, a lot more adversity coming up this Saturday, especially as cold as it's going to be.
Yeah, well, I think JMU has a lot of stuff going on because their coach is supposedly going to UCLA. And to me, I don't know. I don't know how you're going to focus your players this week with who's coming out yesterday during the press conference, and later in the evening we were doing our tape stuff with our friend in Syracuse. We didn't talk about it, but to me, it's like, how's that? That's a distraction you really don't need. And I don't get these. I get tomorrow's National Signing Day, for the for December 3rd, but they should push it back, way back to like middle of December, after Christmas or something, because you're affecting programs like JMU and all the other schools who are supposed to be playing these conference games, and they knowing that their coach, if they lose on Friday night, he's gone. It's like. To me, it's like, how's that going to help, the psyche of these players, saying, oh, we have to play on a title game, but we know our coach is heading out to Southern California.
Yeah, I understand the reasoning for the early signing period. I get it. It benefits a lot of people, a lot of the JUCO teams, especially, I think, because they can kind of get more players that they know maybe they don't have an offer, but I think they're hurting college football more than they're helping it right now with this early signing period, because everybody wants to get that coach in place by signing period so they can, last minute try to keep guys, flip guys, whatever. Yeah, it's not good for college football at all.
It seems like the NFL, like they have that tampering rule that, you see these coaches who are in the conference championship game, you can't talk to them after you're done. And I think that should be the same rules for the teams are in the conference championship game, in your conference, can't talk to them after Saturday, and because they have 30 days to 15 extra practice days, and they could do whatever they want to do, and they could go get somebody to come in and fill in. And to me, I feel like Troy has the advantage now, because I don't know how JMU is going to keep themselves focused on big game ever. This is the biggest game ever in Harrisonburg, Virginia. I know that for a fact because I've been down. I have a house in McCaskiesville, Virginia, and I know that place is rabid. They love JMU football, and that's going to be one heck of an area on Friday night. So if you're driving down 81, just bypass it if you can. 340. Go take 340 somewhere. That's the road, Adam. 340. Okay. I just feel like it's going to be I feel like Troy is coming in with no issue. And they got to take care of their business. JMU has an issue right now.
Yeah, I think it. I don't know if I would say it evens it up, but it certainly doesn't hurt Troy. Troy's still gonna have their issues. I think the talent at JMU is just so good. And I don't know the players. If you're kind of a player-led program, when you have kind of the playoffs in your, this is a real chance that they could make the playoffs, depending on how other games go. So I don't know if that distraction is going to be as big of a factor as maybe we think, but it certainly doesn't help for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Adam, you have a question for?
Yes. So, here's a fact for you guys. When Troy has been featured on national television, whether it be ESPN, ESPNU, or the ACC network, they are 0-4. And when they have been on ESPN Plus, they've won all their games. So I don't know if that's something to look at, but because I've been a fan of Troy for a long time, going back to when they were an independent school. So it's nice to see them play for the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. So who are some of the key players that we need to keep an eye on for Troy Friday night versus James Madison?
Yeah, Goose Crowder is a starting quarterback. He actually broke his collarbone against Memphis and was out for 2 months, but came back a few weeks ago, and he's really started to hit his stride. He threw for over 300 yards a couple weeks ago. Really strong arm. I think the offense is just different with him out there. A receiver, Ra Thomas, he's a Eufaula kid, too. He's a local kid, but he started out at Georgia. Well, he started at Mississippi State and then went to Georgia, and now he's at Troy. And he really, really has come into his own these last 2 weeks, especially this last week. 2 touchdowns against Southern Miss, which was able to clinch the West Division title. Those guys on offense are big. Ethan Connor is a huge tight end. I think people need to watch out for him. On defense, Donnie Smith leads the Sun Belt in sacks. He's one of the best pass rushers in the conference. But also Kalino Levine as a cornerback. He has been on an island with some of the best receivers in the conference these last few weeks, and he's really held his own. I think he's one of the best corners in the conference. And then Jordan Stringer is kind of the alpha of the defense at middle linebacker. And I believe he just went over 100 tackles. So those are the guys to really watch for. But the weapon that no one ever wants to talk about in football is the punter. And Troy has, in my opinion, probably the best punter in the entire country. He's a Ray Guy finalist. He leads virtually every category. Jerry Parker has said flat out that he's won games just by flipping field position and pinning guys deep, and I would agree with that. So that's one of those that people maybe not think about, but he's definitely a weapon for Troy.
Yeah, I feel like you guys haven't played each other since 2023, so it's been 2 years since JMU has played Troy, and I think the last time we played it, I think it was like a big weather event down there, where in your neck of the woods, whether it was like let me see here, let me pull it up, I have it here, the clip of it. It was a classic game. It was a low scoring game between both schools at that time. I think it was like, I guess I'll give you the score here. Yeah, 16-14. That was the end of the last time you guys played each other. So it could be a high scoring game on Friday night because it seems like both offenses know how to put points on the board.
For sure. And I think JMU, they run it up on teams. But interestingly enough, I think one of their closer games this year was against South Alabama. It was a 14-7 game. So I don't know. You never know with this conference, man. It's so crazy. Like I said, I think JMU has been the most consistent. But every week it just seems like teams you don't think should lose to other teams in this conference. It's happened every single week, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Adam, you have another question?
Yeah, so Troy's head coach, Gerard Parker, is in his second year there. And I remember when Troy had the legend in Larry Blakeney. So what's your take on how Gerard Parker has done in his second year as the head coach of the Troy Trojans?
Coach Blakeney, who's about to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, by the way, this month, actually.
Yes.
Jared Parker, I definitely, I would say, has done a pretty incredible job with some of the adversity that they've had to face. When he got here at Troy, Troy's coming off of 2 of the better season in Division I ever with John Summerall. Those two teams were incredible, but lost a ton of guys from those teams when he came in, and had to kind of rebuild from the ground up, going the JUCO route. There's been a few FBS transfers, but it's mainly been the JUCO and high school route for him. He's kind of built it from the ground up. And this year, the job that they've done overcoming those injuries that I mentioned, but not just those, this team that we see right now looks absolutely nothing like it did in April.
Okay.
Several starters left and went to Power 4 programs after spring, and then had another two in January. So to overcome all of that and get to the Sun Belt Championship, I think it's pretty incredible. I think it's the coaching job he's done is underrated for sure.
True. Well, Josh, it's going to be a great game. Hopefully Saturday night for Friday night down there in Harrisonburg, and hopefully it'll be a good way to promote the Sun Belt, and two great teams, and hopefully we'll see which one will come out at the end. But I wish you a safe trip to Harrisonburg, Virginia, and it's a great little college town. You're going to be like really shocked how many people. It's like a college town with a high school feel to it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not bad. So I hope you have a great travel to Harrisonburg, and thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you guys. Anytime.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay. All right, that's Josh Boutwell, who covers Troy for the Troy Messenger. And Troy, again, it's going to be a battle down in Harrisonburg between. Let me pull this up here. I have it's the Credit Union 1 Sun Belt Football Championship game presented by Visit Pensacola. I went there. Hey. Between JMU and Troy at Bridgeport Stadium in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and that's going to be Friday night at 7, right? Yep, Friday night on ESPN. So it's going to be all weekend on ESPN. We got conference title games. Fox has some title games. ABC has a couple of title games. ABC has the Big 12. We're going to we'll have our interview with the guy from BYU. We'll play that on Saturday morning. We'll get that done. So we got the Mountain West, they'll be playing Friday night on Fox. So it's going to be a wild weekend up to Sunday. And then, like we said, we're going to see who's going to be in the college football playoff. And it's going to be somebody's going to be very upset. Some fan base is going to be, like us, ticked off and mad, and there's going to be some people who are going to be excited, so that's what college football is. So anyway, we're going to take a little break. We're going to play our interview we had with one of the gentlemen who covers North Texas. North Texas is playing Tulane, and that's also a Saturday game.
No, it's Friday.
It's a Friday game. Okay, it's Friday night. I forgot it's Friday night. So that's on ESPN. I guess that's
it's on ABC.
ABC. They're both the same.
Yeah, that's true, Chris. That's true.
Yeah. All right, let's play our interview with Adam Martinez, another Adam. We talked to him last evening on our tape stuff. So here it is.
Back.
Go.
All right, folks. Welcome back to our show. This Friday night, down in beautiful New Orleans, Louisiana, the American Conference will be having their championship game between the North Texas Mean Green and the home team Tulane Green Wave. And joining us now from Mean Green Nation is Adam Martinez. So, Adam, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And let's talk about this Mean Green team. Not a lot of people suspected at the beginning of the year that, North Texas would be this good, and they have a really good starting quarterback and Drew Messamaker. So, what's been the reaction from fans down in Denton, Texas, on how the Mean Green have done this year?
First of all, thanks guys for having me on. And everybody's pretty excited, as you might imagine, because I think North Texas hasn't won 11 games in program history. The last time we won 10 games was, I mean, technically in 1977 because the NCAA, it changed the record book, but it wasn't. It was like 1947 or something like that. I think realistically, in our preview shows and like MeagerNation.com and our preview stuff, we were looking at things and saying 9 wins is very reasonable. Eric Morris has always had a good offense. 3 straight seasons here, he's had a good offense. The question was the defense. And I know most people are not aware. Eric Morris fired the previous defensive coordinator after a UTSA game around Halloween last year. And then he hired Skylar Cassidy from Sam Houston State. And like the numbers weren't there. They weren't popping. Skylar Cassidy was the big name. But Sam Houston State won 10 games last year. They won the New Orleans Bowl. His calling card was getting sacks and turnovers, right? That's really what it was. And that translated. That's always the thing that in football, everyone's like, the turnovers translate. Some of that's kind of luck. Well, it turns out, it did translate. Skylar Cassidy has had his side of the ball getting the turnovers. I think North Texas is ranked first in turnover margin in the league, and I think we're like top 10 nationally or something like that. And so if you look at a lot of the numbers, the defense doesn't really stand out. You're like, well, they're like 77, sort of mid-pack. But it's really been like just getting enough stops. And we like to say on the show, on the MeagerNation.com podcast, just be average, just be average defensively, and this thing could pop. We knew the schedule was light this season, and I know a lot of JMU fans, like looking over the college football playoff and all that, have been saying North Texas has been pretty, weak on the schedule. That's all fine. We knew that going in. We didn't play Tulane this year. We didn't play Memphis on a regular season schedule after having played them last 2 seasons. So we were all thinking here, we're set up. We got a soft schedule. Let's win some games, get a little national recognition, and see what happens. This is like the top end of that, right? We're 11 wins, North Texas 11 wins, not really within our reasonable expectation, but certainly within that range. So yeah, excited. And I think it was always, I like to say, we're using the Army playbook. Last year, Army played like a soft schedule. They got into the American Championship and they beat Tulane. And so we're basically running that playbook, play by play. Sort of beat a soft schedule, get an American Championship, and then hopefully beat Tulane. Right? That's the plan, at least.
Yeah. But you guys played Tulane last year, and got some clips from last year. It was a tough game down there in New Orleans.
It was in Denton. It was in Denton last year.
Oh, it was Denton. It was in you guys, your town. But playing them last year, what did you guys learn? What did the team learn from playing them last year? Are they similar to what they saw last year, or are they a little bit different?
Well, yeah, Darian Mensah was their freshman quarterback, and then he went on to be to Duke. Right? He left after 1 season. That was kind of a big thing. They like to run the ball. They play pretty good defense. One thing about their team last year is that they just they sort of pressed the open wound, right? North Texas was a very poor team at stopping the run last season. And so they said, well, we're just going to run the ball. And they did. And they did it successfully. And that was really basically the game. I take some heart in that Tulane wasn't really able to stop North Texas's offense. And that offense last year was powerful, but it was limited. And you end up getting I think that team averaged like 33 points a game. This team averages 45 points a game. So I think North Texas is more powerful. Even if Tulane's sort of the same team or a very similar team trying to run the ball, I think that North Texas has a lot more pop and they're better able to stop the run. Although I will say that our defensive line is very injured. We're down like 4 defensive linemen, a linebacker, and a couple other guys are banged up. So that's a big concern, especially since it's reported to be rainy. And I think I was talking to John Summerall today at the press conference, and he said, "I hope it's a monsoon." I don't want North Texas to be throwing the ball around. Yeah.
Well, hopefully the rain stays away. We're going to have the same problem here on the East Coast. Friday night's going to be very rainy here in Charlotte, so you don't know about how Bank of America Stadium is going to hold up from a lot of rain and all that stuff. So it might be fine in the evening, but you don't know what kind of wind's going to be blowing to get it dry. It might be a little wet. The same thing with you guys down there in New Orleans. It's going to be rainy and and people are going to be. It's not great to play football in the rain. You'll see a lot of issues going on in the rain.
Yeah, I think the old old football fan part of me likes it, like it sounds like John Madden, like that's good football hitting weather, but I think, yeah, you're right. Like you're not going to see the best version of North Texas. And, fans at home are like, they're going to tune in and say, well, all right, hey, I hear this team is a leading offense in the nation. Let's see what they got. But then if they have to run the ball, play conservative, it's not as fun. But I mean, I always say that it's football, and football is an outside sport, and so playing in the elements is part of it. So it is what it is. You got to take it. You got to be ready for it.
Yeah. And you have another question? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mentioned your quarterback, and he is a redshirt freshman, and to see what he has done this year as a redshirt freshman has been incredible. So just talk about some other key players we need to keep an eye on Friday night versus Tulane.
Yeah, I'll just say one note, because I think it's been discussed at length. Drew Messamaker, the quarterback, it was last year before the bowl game. Well, it's last season. It was actually this year in January in the bowl game. I was talking to some of the coaches there, and I asked them, I was like, hey, so tell me about this kid. He's going to start in a bowl game for the first time. I mean, what do you think, right? And they were all saying he has all the tools. He's smart. He has, he can. We were trying to limit the offense. He's like, no, just give me more. I can do it. I can handle it. And so coming into the season, we were bullish on his ability. We figured he'd be good. But, I mean, I think he's even exceeded those expectations. So you asked, like, who else do we look at? I think Wyatt Young has been a name. He scored against Texas Tech on a 75-yard touchdown last year, but he had some drop passes. He was like the third or fourth receiver last year. Coming into this year, we were wondering who's going to take the X receiver spot, the primary receiver spot in this offense. And I think Wyatt Young has kind of grabbed those reins. He plays H, but like Cam Dorner, Division II transfer, he's been awesome. They were neck and neck, Wyatt Young and Cam Dorner there for a little bit until Wyatt Young just had that 295-yard game against Rice. So he kind of stepped up, blew it away. Wyatt Young's good. Caleb Hawkins has been astounding America and everybody. I remember on our recruiting show where we were looking over the new signees, Caleb Hawkins was almost an afterthought. We're like, hey, we got this. We got a couple transfers coming in. Those are probably going to be the guys to get the carries. Oh, and hey, we have a big guy, 6'2", 200 pounds. He'll be great in short yardage. And that's all we said. Little did we know he'd go on to set, the touchdown record at North Texas. He broke his coach's record, Pat Cobb's. And he's seemingly untackleable. Again, talking to John Stonewall today, he was noting him and saying he's great. It's crazy. He's big, strong, fast, shifty. And yes, he's only a freshman. It's kind of ridiculous to see him like that. A freshman just be so dominant physically. It's incredible.
Yeah. All right, folks. That's our interview with Adam Martinez from the Mean Green Nation. So North Texas taking on Tulane on Friday night at 8 o'clock on ABC. So there's no TGIF on Friday night. It's all college.
No.
Yeah, there's no Saved by the Bell, no Step by Step or
no. Yeah, it's called No Family Matters, Full House, Perfect Strangers, or Step by Step, folks. That was my childhood.
So we're waiting for the Villanova coach to join us here. Well, let's do our little notes here. I found this today on this day in 1989 in the Professional Bowler Store. So our good friend Amelio Monticelli won his 5th PBA title then, beating Brian Voss on the Tourist Players Championship, and that's the final shot. One of the final shots for Leto. Look how young he is.
Look how young Brian Voss is.
I know.
And there's Leto's wife at the time.
Yeah, his 5th PBA title on this date in 1989. So,
wow, I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know they go past. They used to stop in before Thanksgiving or.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what on this day in 1989. You were wondering why we were playing in the beginning of the show Neil Diamond and Barbra Streisand. On this date in 1978, it became a #1 hit on the Hot 100 charts for the first time in first of 2 weeks starting today.
Very cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. So it was Neil Diamond. And what happened was, Adam, a little story about that. Neil recorded the song by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then Barbra Streisand liked the song and recorded it in the same note, in the same, whatever. And somebody at a radio station in Cincinnati decided to do the old, we do the cuts on our videos.
Yeah.
He put two of them together. He cut it. Somehow he recorded it and played it on his station, and it sounded just perfectly like they were in the studio. And then finally, Neil got a phone call, Barbra Streisand, and said, somebody put our two songs together, and it sounds great. And she goes, "Oh, really?" And the funny thing is, they used to go to the same school in Brooklyn.
Holy cow!
Neil Diamond was in the choir with Barbra Streisand.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a little Neil Diamond tribute there, and then they went into the studio, did it for real, and then you saw it on the Grammys, when those two singing, and Barbara was so nervous doing that, Neil had to hold her hand through the entire performance.
Really?
Because she was so nervous, because she never performed in front of a live TV in a very long time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, crazy. So
yeah, and it's called. You know how Villanova is playing Lehigh on Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
They're like an hour apart.
Yes, and they're going to be conference mates next
year. Yeah. And I was like,
it's going to be funny. Like an hour apart, and I know where they are because I went up there the last.
Well, yeah. And it was like,
Coach, he's actually in the bullpen.
Sure. So, folks, Saturday. I know it's conference championship day across college football, but in the FCS, it's second round action, and Villanova gets to go face a team that starting next year they will see regularly because Villanova is going to the Patriot League. Yeah. So this is like sort of a pre-conference warm-up. I guess you wouldn't want to say that. So joining us now to preview this.
The line from the Florida State Miami Orange Bowl. These are the last two superpowers before they become conference mates.
Yeah. So joining us now to talk about the second round matchup is the head coach of the Villanova Wildcats, Coach Mark Ferrante, is joining us now. So, Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And what's it gonna be like on Saturday facing a team that you'll see regularly next year in the Patriot League in the Lehigh Mountain Hawks?
Yeah, well, first of all, Adam, Chris, thanks for having me on. Appreciate you guys inviting me to come on and talk with you guys. This is not the first time we played Lehigh. We have played them in some non-league games. I think we played them as recent as 22 and 23, so not too long ago. But yes, it will be a little different when we face them next year in conference play. So, we're excited for it, but right now we're still flying under the flag of the CAA. So we're representing Joey D'Antonio, the commissioner, and in that league right now, trying to, continue to advance the survive and advance mentality that we have in the FCS playoffs and all playoffs. And, so we're excited for the opportunity to go up and play Lehigh. I mean, they're a really good program. They're very well coached. There's only two teams in all of FCS that made it through their regular season with an unblemished record, and they're one of the two. So we get to face an undefeated team when we travel up to Bethlehem, PA, this coming weekend, which happens to be where my wife is from. So it's kind of an area.
So it's
kind of an area. It's kind of an area that I'm pretty familiar with from recruiting, from visiting family, and it's only an hour up the road. So it's not a hard trip, which I'm thankful for.
Well, it's great. You can sleep in your own bed. You don't have to worry about it. You got to
get up. Well, no, we're going to go the evening before, so we are going to stay in the hotel. We have made it on day trips and some of the times we played them in the past, but with a noon start, we'd rather have the extra hour of sleep for the guys as opposed to getting up so early.
Yeah. Let's talk about last Saturday. You took on a Harvard team. They were very good in the Ivy League, and you just blew them out of Philadelphia pretty much and told them to go back up to wherever you belong and and all that stuff. It was a really good win for you guys. I haven't seen you guys put a lot of points on the board in a very long time in a playoff game. So how was it like having everything click at once last Saturday?
Yeah, it was. Well, obviously, it was exciting to have it all click. Not sure how that game was going to go. You never really expect any game to go that way, regardless of who you're playing, especially in a playoff setting. But, we scored on our opening drive, and then they came down and had a chance to score shortly after that. But we had a nice interception in the end zone to stop that drive. We took a 31-0 halftime lead into the game, and they did a great job with some adjustments. They scored on their opening drive of the second half. The play you're showing here right now, that's Julian Glantz. He's a walk-on senior for us, and that may be his first touch on his career. So that was an exciting moment for him. But, yeah, everything fell into place. Our guys played hard. We played pretty fundamentally sound. It was a pretty clean game. The refs let us play. There was only 4 penalties on either side of the ball. But we won the turnover battle 3-0, so that always helps as well. Get those extra possessions and, a shorter field. And one of them, like I said, stopped a scoring drive that they had going on. So real excited about the way the team came out and was prepared, ready to play. And our staff did a great job preparing them because we had never played in the 130-year history of Villanova. And however old Harvard is, I know they're a little older than us. Villanova Harvard has never played a football game.
Oh, wow.
I would have thought maybe somewhere in the 20s or 30s or 40s that they may have played, but that was the first time we've ever played Harvard. So I'm glad it worked out in our favor.
That's crazy. And then with all this football programs back in the day, like you said, like I was looking at Thanksgiving, and Navy played on Thanksgiving the first time since 1893.
Wow. How about that?
Like 1893. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. They didn't play on Thanksgiving until last week. That was the first time, 1893. I'm like, that's crazy. And then you guys playing Harvard for the first time ever. And these schools have been around longer than I think it was George Washington and everybody else going on. They could have been like, they should have played a game.
Yeah, I would have thought somewhere along the way, even if it was 1899 or 1905, something like that. I would have thought we played. We have played Penn over time. I don't think we've ever played as a university a few of the Ivies, to be honest. So that surprised me. I would just think back in the day, like you said, with so many schools in the Northeast, we would have played Harvard at some point in time, but I guess not.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what about the CA? I know you guys are leaving, and I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay.
Neither do I.
But you got to go. But it's okay. We'll love to have you on next year when you're in the new league, and we love keeping touch with you guys. But what was it like being in this conference for years and being the last 2 teams in this CA to be representing in the postseason? You got Rhode Island going to have to go west to California Davis. We're going to have the coach on in a few minutes. But,
okay.
Just talk about representing Jody D and everybody in this conference and how great this conference has been for you guys and for you, because you've been part of this program since Andy Talley.
Yeah, no, it's been tremendous. I mean, when Coach started the program in '84, and then our first year to be eligible for playoffs was '89 with the Yankee Conference, and we actually made the playoffs that year. Played Georgia Southern, and then it became the Atlantic 10, the A10, and then the CAA Colonial, and now the CAA Coastal. So we've been there right from the beginning with Joey D and the commissioners before Joey D. Joey D's son actually played for us at Villanova. He was our holder on field goals and extra points. So we have a great friendship, a great relationship, and a great partnership with Joey D. So it is bittersweet. It is kind of sad to be leaving, but it just seemed to make sense this time around. I think in the 38 years I've been here at Villanova, last 9 as head coach, obviously Coach Talley's assistant prior to that. I think this Patriot League has maybe invited us 3 other times prior to this one. Wow. This one just felt like it was the right time, talking with our AD Mark Jackson at the time, and now obviously our new AD Eric Rodell. Eric's been with us since January, and he's a Villanova alum. It just made sense to do it. Geographically, it makes sense. We'll have a lot less flights to worry about. The CA just, got so spread out. Not that it was condensed before,
Right.
But it pretty much went, you had JMU, Richmond, and William Mary. So it kind of ended in Virginia and went up to Maine. So you had a couple flights, but not like you would now with Campbell and A&T and Elon. It just stretched it out. And we're in a great location for either league because we're in the middle.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now we've condensed our travel. Now instead of going from Maine down to the Carolinas, we'll go from Virginia up to Holy Cross. So it kind of worked out.
And then maybe you could do some non-conference games against Temple and Coach Keeler. That'll be fun to have you guys do that again.
Heck yeah!
We are trying to get them. We will play an FBS game next year. We have Louisville, and I think Temple's going to come on board the year after in 27.
Ooh, it's called Christmas.
So maybe we Adam and I might drive down to Louisville to see you guys because we love seeing you.
Yeah, that's our FBS game next year. I don't know who we have beyond 27, but I'm pretty sure Temple is on board for 27.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool. Adam, you have a question for us?
Yeah, so the CAA this year was an incredible conference. Obviously, Rhode Island did win back-to-back titles, but the strength has been so good. So, what's your take on this year? How the CAA as a conference has been one of the best FCS conferences this year.
Yeah, it's always tough. You're always going to be challenged each and every week. And then when you add an FBS opponent like a lot of us do, that just, adds more fuel to the fire, if you will, when it comes to, the opponent's schedule and so on. Coach Flem up there. Flem was with us back in 98, 99 as our defensive coordinator. So I know Jim really well. So I'm happy for his success. The thing that surprised me a little bit, and it kind of started last year and then this year as well, Richmond was 8-0 in CA play last year. Rhode Island's 8-0 in CA play this year, and they didn't get a top 8 seed in the first round bye. So that's a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Obviously, we lost to Monmouth. That was our only league loss, and the 9-3 Monmouth team. I think they probably could have got in, but I don't know. I'm not on the committee. What do I know? I'm sure they have their things they discuss and talk through and all that stuff. I know winning late in your schedule is not a good thing. That happened to us way back when. I think we had an 8-3 year and didn't get invited when we had Westbrook because we lost the game late to New Hampshire. So I guess that's kind of what happened to Monmouth this year when they lost 2 of the last 3. But I think they're very deserving to get in. And now that they have their quarterback healthy, I mean, some of the games they had, Derek Robertson wasn't available for them. Kind of like the South Dakota State team that just got their guy back and then went out and did what they did. So, a lot going on. It is what it is. When we get to the selection show on Sunday, we're just happy to hear our name. But we always feel that when it does come to playoff time, playing week in and week out in the CAA, you're ready for playoffs. You're kind of battle tested and you're weathered a little bit. Hopefully not too banged up. And thankfully, knock on wood, we have a few injuries, but we're fairly healthy right now as far as entering the second round up there at Lehigh. So we're excited for where we are right now. And like I said, on selection show, you can't control any of it. I don't worry about any of it. The draw is the draw. The seedings are the seedings. And as long as we hear our name, I'm happy.
Well, I think this league needs to talk. The SBS, the subdivision should talk to the college football playoff people because I love the system in this. Like you said, you lost to Monmouth and Monmouth didn't get in, and like you guys won late one year and you didn't get in. It's like this these playoffs. It's great. They just pick who. I don't know what the point values are or whatever, but they should call the people in Texas and say, let's use this formula. It might work better. Instead of playing this like, oh, we got to have 4 top seeds and this guy and, all SEC. And, it should be just like this has been working for 25 years down here.
Yeah, no, it's been good. And I don't know what the formula is, to be honest.
I would like to find out. That's what I
would like to.
I know they look at a couple, the AFCA coaches poll and the stats perform poll are the ones that they say they look at the most, but I'm sure there's other algorithms and things they're looking at, strength of schedule, all that stuff. But hey, I don't know. FBS is doing their thing. we've been doing our thing for a while. I like the way our thing works, and you actually get a true champion on the field. And the FBS is doing that now. I mean, they went from bowl games and trying to just by popular demand who was the national champion, and then they went to the four-team venue.
Yeah.
But now they at least get up to 12 teams, and maybe they'll continue to expand. You never know, because they'll bring in the money with the TV revenue that they'll get. You know that.
That's true. That's true.
Everything, all this now, Coach Mark, is all this. No matter what.
Yeah.
You see coaches getting fired because they're not making, they're not performing the way they want to, and it's like a coaching carousel now. It's like, good Lord, seriously.
It's a merry-go-round right now, especially at the higher level. So it's
right.
It's a lot different than when I started. Put it that way.
Adam, you have the final question for him.
Sure. So, talking about this game on Saturday, who are some of the key players for what are some of the keys for Villanova to pull off a monumental upset over ranked Lehigh and Bethlehem on Saturday?
Yeah. The keys are always going to be the same, regardless of the opponent. We want to make sure we control the football as far as, not turning it over, hopefully create some turnovers in our favor. Don't shoot ourselves in the foot. We don't want to have those pre and post snap penalties to get you behind the chains and those type of things. There's going to be some penalties, I'm sure, but as long as they're during the play and they're more of the aggressive style of penalty, there's going to be a hold probably somewhere along the line, maybe a pass interference down the field. We just can't have the false starts and the defensive offsides, and obviously nothing after the whistle. We got to play fundamentally sound. We got to play discipline. They're very similar to us. They have a really good running game. We think we have a good running game. They have a good quarterback. We like our quarterback. They don't turn the ball over much. We lead the country in the fewest number of turnovers right now. We've only had 5 for the whole year, so I hope I didn't just jinx myself. But I think they've only had 7 for the whole year. So they're very good. They're very good. They score a lot of points. They don't give up a lot of points. They're very good against the run. So we got to try to establish a running game, and I'm sure they're going to try to do the same thing because they have a really good running back in Yoder, who had 4 touchdowns in their rival game against Lafayette the week before last. So they're very balanced, they're very aggressive, and they're very disciplined. And I like to think we're the same. So I think it always comes down in a game like this. When you look as evenly matched as we look on paper and on film, it's going to come down to who makes the fewest mistakes, and I'm hoping that's us.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Coach Mark, I appreciate you coming on, and we love having you on our show, and we'll keep up our lovely relationship with you guys when you head up to the Patriot. But keep it going with the CAA so we have something going for next week. And if you win Saturday, you get a trip to South Dakota. Never been there, but I guess that's a bitter. You want to go south, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll go anywhere. As long as we win and get an opportunity to play another week and practice another week with this squad, I'm happy. So, we'll try to do the best we can to do what we need to do this week with the rest of this week's preparation and go out and perform well on Saturday to get another opportunity, regardless of where it sends us.
That's true. Well, we'll be watching from Charlotte. So,
Yes,
good luck on Saturday, and we'll keep in touch, okay?
Appreciate you guys. Thanks again for having me on, and you have a great day.
All right, man. See you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye now.
All right, that's Coach Mark Ferrante, the coach for Villanova. We've been having him on our show since.
Oh, yes.
Got to go back to the days of Andy Talley, who that program together.
That's called when Coach Ferrante mentioned the Yankee Conference, I was like, that was when I was living in New Hampshire, and it was like I remember the Yankee Conference. That's 90s.
Saturday 12 noon, and that's going to be on ESPN 2 or
ESPN Plus.
Yeah, so if you want to tune in and watch that on ESPN Plus. So, Adam, you want to bring this next? We're trying to talk CA football this time. Rhode Island is heading out west.
Yeah, they are. So, folks, you know how good of a conference the CAA is in the FCS. Well, there's another conference that can say that they think they're the best, and that is the Big Sky Conference. They've got sensational powers, Montana State, Northern Arizona, and our next guest. His team will be taking on the defending CAA champs in the Rhode Island Rams at home in beautiful Davis, California. So let's bring in the head coach of the UC Davis Aggies, head coach Tim Plow is joining us today. So, Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Just talk about facing a really good CAA team in the Rhode Island Rams Saturday night on ESPN2.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here and talk some football with you. Yeah, obviously Rhode Island's a fantastic football team, and I was lucky enough to be on a representative on the coaches poll this year, so I was voting on that throughout the year, and so kept tabs on all the teams just to see how they were doing. And Rhode Island was a team that I had ranked in the top 10 pretty much all year, so know how talented they are, know how well coached they are. Got a chance to watch their game last week, obviously. And they deserve all the billing that they have. They're great on offense, great on defense, special teams, and well coached. So should be a great environment. Got the ESPN2 national broadcast, which is the first time we've had ESPN here in Davis. We've been on ESPN a few times this year, but they've been road games, so it'll be fun to have them on campus for us. And 2 top 10 teams, and should be a great game.
This is the old 8 and 9 battle like you see in the NCAA tournament. Like after the week first round, and then you got the 8-9 matchup. So it's like the old 8-9 matchup now in football. And Rhode Island is coming in after beating Central Connecticut State, and and they won the CAA. And you guys been having a great season too out there in the West Coast. So what do you see in Rhode Island that might give me an issue on Saturday night when we'll be down in Charlotte watching the ACC championship game, but we'll watch the TVs, to watch you guys. But what do you see from Rhode Island that might give you an issue?
Well, I think it starts with their offense. I think their quarterback's super talented. This guy's super sharp, gets the ball out quick, very accurate. He can extend plays, and then make some plays down the field. And he can make plays with his legs, but he's also surrounded by a bunch of great skill players. Their wide receiving core is deep, really athletic. Number 1, number 8, number 14, number 11. All these guys are good players. Their tailback, number 4, rushed for 1,000 yards. He's a big back that runs behind his pad. So I think they're extremely balanced on offense. And then defensively, a lot of different pressure looks, a lot of stuff to confuse the quarterback. And they're led really by their defensive end, number 8, who I think's got double-digit sacks and a bunch of tackles for loss and seems to wreak havoc against everybody that they play. So I think for us, offensively, we got to do a good job sustaining drives and scoring points and hopefully, being able to handle their pressures and not let number 8 get after us. And then our defense has got to try to keep that quarterback under wraps, keep him in the pocket and stop their run game. So I think it's definitely a tall task.
Yeah. So playing against Rhode Island, what team does it remind you of in your schedule? I know you had a tough schedule where you had to go to Washington and play them, and that was basically a good payday for you guys. And then you played against Southern Utah and Mercer. The first game was canceled because of the rain, big storms. But what do you see what team on your schedule reminds you of Rhode Island?
Well, actually, I think they remind me of a few of the teams we play in our conference. Just the great quarterback play, the ability to throw the football. That's kind of a staple of the Big Sky. A lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of good receivers. So luckily we've had some opponents that, do similar things there. And then there's a lot of teams in our conference that have good edge rushers. Montana State's got a great edge rusher, and Idaho State's got a good edge rusher. Idaho had a good edge rusher. Sac State had a good edge rusher. So, we've played teams with good defensive linemen. I think the Mercer defensive end might win the Buck Buchanan Award. We played them earlier in the year. So similar styles of teams that we've played this season. So luckily we feel like we've had a chance to go against some good teams that hopefully gives us a chance to at least feel like we're capable of playing against these guys.
Yeah. Adam, you have another question?
Yeah. So you're no stranger to UC Davis as you graduated from there, and you're in your second season. So what's it like for you to be a head coach at your alma mater?
Yeah, it's a joy, man. It's a special place, dream job for me. My wife went to school here. I went to school here. Being able to raise our three boys in Davis, which is like our home away from home. And, it's a program I really care a lot about. Had a lot of success over the years at Davis. I mean, we were Division II for a long time in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and won a bunch of football games, had a bunch of NFL players. And then when I got here, we transitioned up to FCS. And this is my third different stint coaching back here at Davis. And so it's a special place. I'm sure, the East Coast listeners or, the East Coast teams may not be familiar with it, which is what makes the playoffs really fun, right? You get to play teams you don't see every day. And so there's not a lot of knowledge on the West Coast maybe about Rhode Island, and there's not a lot of knowledge probably on the East Coast about Davis. So it'll be fun for those two teams to go against each other and for those two fan bases to see, that there's great FCS teams all over the country. But it's a joy to come to work every day at a place that you really care about, a place that really wants to win. And we feel like we're building something here where we can compete with the top teams, and second year in a row that we've gotten a bye in the playoffs. And I think if we keep building on that, hopefully we can keep sustaining it and getting back there and making a run at this thing.
Yeah. Well, I remember you guys last year playing California in their first ever ACC game, or whatever they call them after the Pac-12. That's what I know you guys from, because I remember that we talked to Coach Will Cox, and I know you were part of Cal for a little bit, so you know about that program. So it's like, this is basically, we know you guys I saw you guys a lot on the East Coast. It's just late night football for us, but
right.
Hey, I don't mind about late night football if it's not a blowout. That's a good thing. Yeah. So, Coach, just talk about you guys. What you guys do this year to, because you guys, 8-3. You got your second season. You're hosting after a first round bye in the playoffs. So that must be something good that you keep doing the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think it starts with just our environment. We have this university is a great place. I mean, it's one of the top public schools in the country, and so you can get a great education. So we're able to attract talented players that want to get a great degree that can help them in life. So we got a great group of kids here, man, that really care about each other, and they work really hard and super smart and tough. And so it starts with our environment, that the guys really care about each other and play hard. And I think we've got some talented players, man. We got, some guys on defense and on offense and special teams that are all conference, all American type guys. And, this year we've gone through some injuries. We lost some of our best players to season-ending injuries, and our team was able to overcome that and still find ways to win games. And I think that speaks to the resilience of our team. And so I think we're a resilient team. We're tough. We're battle-tested. Like I said, we started the year on the road playing Mercer on ESPN, and winning the game the whole time, and then it gets canceled because of lightning. Then we play Washington on the road and got to see a Power 4 team in person, and then we played Montana State on the road on ESPN. So we've played some tough teams and feel like we've been resilient and fought through those situations. So I think our guys are prepared to take anything that comes their way. But they love each other, they play hard, and they love Davis. And the fact that, again, we get to host the game at home on national television, I think it's great for our program, great for the school, and we're hoping we can play well.
Yeah, and I know a lot of coaches don't look ahead, but if you look ahead, you probably have to take on one of the big boys. So that must be something. You don't want to get yourself ahead, but you kind of look at you as a fan look ahead going, if we beat Rhode Island, we have to go up there. That's gonna be tough. But right now you're gonna worry about Saturday against Rhode Island.
Yeah, I think anytime, man, I've been in the FCS now for so long, and you get in the playoffs, you get to the last 16. I mean, everyone's good. Everyone's talented. All the teams are tough. And so, yeah, I mean, I think whenever you get the bracket, you kind of look and see who's out there and what could happen. But man, Illinois State's a good team too. I mean, we played them last year in the playoffs, and they've had a great season. So I don't think I'd be shocked by any teams winning at this point. I think every team is really, really good. I think it just comes down to who plays their best, right? And so we try to keep our focus on us. And if we play our best football, I feel like we can hang with anybody. And if we don't play our best football, we can lose to anybody. So I think about us to focus on what we do well and do the things that winning football teams do. And I think if we do that, we can hang in there with anyone.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, Coach, I want to wish you good luck on Saturday night against Rhode Island. You can watch that game at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. So hopefully you guys have great weather in there in California, and hopefully this is going to be a great game between two good schools.
Yeah, I appreciate the time, guys. Thanks.
All right,
You're
have
welcome.
a great week. Thank you so much.
Have a great week, Coach.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, that's the head coach of UC Davis, Coach Tim Plug, joining us. Rhode Island will be traveling to California to take on UC Davis. Winner gets North Dakota State.
I think it's Illinois State.
You think it's Illinois State? Let me check.
Yeah.
I thought we'd look at the brackets. Let me pull up the.
Yeah, and it's called. I will say this, Chris. I am familiar with the Big Sky Conference because of they've got powerhouses: Montana State, Idaho, Northern Arizona, UC Davis, Sacramento State, Weber State, and it's like people say that the Big Sky is, an FCS version of the SEC because of.
I am right. The winner of this game takes on North Dakota State versus Illinois. Yeah. So and that's going to be up in the Fog Dome up in beautiful.
Yeah, and it's called and UC Davis should have some momentum on their side because the last game that they played, November 22nd, they beat their rival Sacramento State in the Causeway Classic out there at UC Davis Health Stadium. So maybe beating their rival will give them some momentum going into this game versus Rhode Island on Saturday night.
That's true. Well, we got some sports news that came out yesterday. Mets got a some bullpen.
Yeah.
Devin Wilson, Devon Williams, who was over in Yankees with the Yankees.
The pitch. Swing and a ball drilled. Right field. Freelick back at the wall.
Yeah, we all know about this one.
It's out of here. Alonso.
Yes, Chris.
Yeah, so funny thing is now Devin Williams is going to be with the Mets, who he gave up that home runs with Pete Alonso. Mets are trying to sign Pete Alonso and Diaz, so we got it's the musical chair. So if you have the guy, Devin Williams could be a setup guy for Diaz. So you got the 8th inning and the 7th and 8th inning with Williams if he's focused. I think last year had a problem with the Yankees with the facial hair and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so he signed a 3-year deal. So that means the Mets trying to get Diaz to come back. That's the plan. And then they try to get Alonso. They traded Brandon Nemo out to Texas, so he'll be a Texas Ranger this year. So anyway, some news and notes on this day in sports history. This guy actually, before he left Pittsburgh, he got a really decent payday. So hold on a second. Let me see here. Here it is.
Yeah.
There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. It is. Bonilla makes it a 7-6 ball game. Holy cow. His second home run of the year.
Bobby Bonilla just keeps killing the Cubs. Both home runs right-handed have come against the Cubs. Now has 9 RBIs. Most of them against the Cubs. And it's a 1-run ball game. Watch it one more time as he goes down and gets a low breaking ball that was out over the plate. Doug DeCenzo runs out of room. And just like that, the Pirates have fought back.
Yeah.
And he has signed a big deal with the Mets on this date in 1991. At the time, $29 million for 5 years, and then they don't realize they owe him more money every year, $1 million for now until 2035. So yes, July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day, and it's also December 2nd is Bobby Bonilla Day too. Good Lord. Yeah, crazy stuff. I know we just talked about Bobby Bonilla, a little Met history today. Good old Keith Fernandez, back in Texas, who, see this play right here, who won his 9th consecutive Gold Glove, passing George Scott, the all-time leader of those for the Gold Glove. I remember this play when I was a kid. This is '86 when him and Gary Carter did the double play.
Yeah.
And the video I have, the Met video, Adam, he goes, after Keith's easy too. Easy too.
Yes.
So, so he won his 9th Gold Glove on this date in 1986. So that's cool.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. Folks, I started a little side thing. If you live in the Baltimore area and you need somebody like around this area, like Mays Chapel or Cockeysville, and you need somebody to walk your dog or stop over and see your cat or dog, you can log on and hire me so I can get some free money under the table.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
Hire Press. It's called. I would honestly, I would recommend them. So it's called If You Need. So.
Yeah. So if anybody, if you see this, if you want to go on my site there, it's rover.com/sit/Chris H8. And if you live in the Mays Chapel, Cockeysville, Sparks area, I can't come to Tennessee to walk your dog.
Yeah, you can't come to North Carolina.
Yeah, can't do that. Nope, no, sir. Yeah.
We are waiting for the boys of Jacksonville State University.
Yes. So, speaking of that, let's pull up. We're waiting for him to join in. He said he's ready to join us tonight because he emailed me back. So, hopefully, if not, we have coming up at 9 o'clock. We have Sammy Jacobs, who is the owner operator of Hoosier Huddle. We'll talk Big Ten championship between the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes of Ohio State, and Kurt Sigonelli looking for his first Big Ten title, so he could go along with the CA title and a national championship title down in JMU. And we'll talk to Sammy at 9:05, and then at 9:45, the voice of UNLV football, Matt Neverett, will be joining us. We'll talk to him about the Mountain West championship game coming up on. They are actually Friday night on Fox, so we'll talk.
Yeah, it's called. That was based. The reason why Boise State and UNLV, I heard, was because of a computer.
Yes, I heard about the computer.
Yeah, it's like why?
That's my question. Where's the computer in the ACC?
Hey, yeah, yes, the folks.
Yeah.
So obvious. So Thursday, Chris and I will be making the trip to Charlotte, North Carolina for the ACC football championship. We will see all of our good friends from the ACC, and Thursday morning at 9 a.m. If you go to YouTube, search Wake Up Call DT. Chris and I sat down with our good friend Dan Tortora last night to talk some college football coaching changes, college football playoff scenarios. So, so we recommend going to watch that. And the college football rankings, Chris, were released before we came on the air, and to no surprise, Duke was not in the top 25, but James Madison was.
Okay.
And it was the first time that they have been in this year.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, well, they should have been there a long time ago.
Well, no, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So they should be in there. Wake Up Call with Daniel. DT.
Yeah.
I'll find the link for that for you folks to watch it. So anyway, we talked to Dan last night. A good hour?
Hour and a half, yeah.
It was very good. Good hour. So very good. You know, we had a good time talking to him.
We did. Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's this. Here's the. I want to pull this up for you guys to tune in if you are joining it and want to watch it. There it is. 9 a.m. I'll be. We'll be on at 9 a.m. Thursday morning.
Yep. We had. Yes, Carl. We had fun.
That's the link. You can tune in to watch us. You know, on Thursday. So we appreciate Dan from all the way up in the beautiful city of Syracuse, New York.
Yes.
Where it's snowing like it's been like it's snowing.
Yeah, it's called. It's not snowing. It's not snowing in Maryland, is it, Chris?
No, it was rainy and garbage today. Just rainy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it was rainy, cold here in North Carolina.
At all. I just stayed indoors and.
Yeah, and get ready for Charlotte on Thursday.
Yes. Let's see here. The forecast. Let me get the forecast for Charlotte here. One of the TV stations down there. I'm trying to wait for Mike Parris to join us. So anybody should. One of those people will join us. Maybe Sammy Jacobs might join us, or we'll see. But we'll talk club football because Coppin State Eagles club football team has to go out to. I think they're going out to Ohio.
Yeah, yes, Carl. I believe they are playing Ohio State.
Yeah, so Buckeyes have a club team to go along with the team that everybody knows. So.
Yeah, they do. Yep.
Yeah, so forecast on Saturday down in Charlotte. Let's pull this up here. Forecast is Saturday.
The Ohio State club football team is the defending NCFA national champs.
Okay. So the weather in Saturday from Charlotte, scattered showers, 52 degrees, and lows in 34. So that's not bad.
Yeah, and Chris, speaking club football, I'm looking at Ohio State's schedule right now.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that George Mason has a club football team?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Michigan State has a club football team. The Wright State Raiders have a club football team, and even the Toledo Rockets out of the Mid-American Conference has a club football team. In Ohio State is undefeated.
Jeez. Is Ryan Day coaching that team?
So
weather on Saturday down in Charlotte, considerably cloudiness with occasional rain shower. It's 30.
We'll be fine.
30%. So that's not bad. All right. So we're waiting for whoever's going to join us.
Yeah,
waiting for Mike Parris or Sammy Jacobs joining us, or at 9:15 we'll call the coach at Coppin State. We'll call him.
Yes.
Team. So anyway, what else we got going on here? We got. Let's talk. This week in this Ravens Steelers, where we were going to talk Ravens Steelers, but
we were. Yeah.
Postpone that, but I had a nice video of Ravens Steelers, so let's play it real quick.
Go for it.
Roethlisberger loses the football, and it's recovered by the Ravens. It's Mendenhall, and man, as he hammered the balls out. It's Nata with the hit, the forced fumble, and the recovery. And blocking an extra point. Ball intercepted. Deflected at the line, and Ray Lewis. It lands in his hands at the 15. Nata. It's Nata again. He deflects the pass. Ray Lewis catches it. And then Nata just gets a knockout punch. Picks up the first, slipped away. They fake. to Wallace, and Roethlisberger throws, and he's intercepted. Ed Reed has it. Ed Reed again had 8 interceptions last year in 10 games. Gives him a first down at the 20. Again, runs away from the pressure. He's picked off again. It's Ed Reed. Twisting around and brought down at the 21, his second interception of the half.
Aggressive.
Blitzing on 2nd and 2. Trouble for Roethlisberger again. Dumps it off to Moore, who's taken off. Down to the 16. Ball's out. Ravens recover. Will they rule him down? It's McPhee with the recovery.
After reviewing the play, the runner was not down by contact. There was a fumble, clearly recovered by a Baltimore player at the 14-yard line.
Least favorite place to play. And we've had that amplified today. Look out. Ball is out again. And it looks like the Ravens have recovered. Giveaways and points, 7 each.
Reed wide left. Flacco again protected well. To the end zone he goes, and it's caught for the touchdown by Torrey Smith. And there's a flag down at the 2-yard line. For defensive interference, that will hold up, and with 8 seconds left, the Ravens will conclude a 92-yard drive with a touchdown.
Pass interference, 22. Defense. Ball will be placed in the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, you can't write this script. Smith drops one, Bolden drops one, and then the rookie comes back and makes his first touchdown catch since he caught 3 in 1 quarter at St. Louis in week 3.
And you just have to wonder what Ryan Clark is doing on the play just before it came out.
Drew Butler, a rookie from Georgia, is the punter. And here's Jacoby Jones, came over from Houston in the offseason, and Jones is inside the 40. Jones has one man to beat, and that's the kicker, and he is in for the touchdown.
What a difference he has made to these special teams. Leading kickoff return man in the entire National Football League, and now adds a 3rd touchdown on a return.
Going to be snapped back by Greg Warren. 8-year snapper brought in by Bill Cowher. The hold by Butler. The chance to win it by Sweezum from 42. Sweezum's kick, and the Steelers have done it. Charlie Batch, what a turnaround 1 week later. And look how much he put into it and how much it means to the 15-year veteran.
He's not standing next to an official, so he's not going to ice him.
Mesco will hold it. Warren, the snapper, 42 yards away. Sweezum sweeps the leg, and he's got it. Pittsburgh wins. (1916) the Steelers over the Ravens. And the latest chapter in this rivalry belongs.
All right, so that's going to be Saturday afternoon here in Baltimore between the Steelers and Ravens. What do you think about the Carolina Panthers last weekend beating the Rams?
Well, I'll say this. I didn't expect it, but it's nice to see that the Panthers are playing really well. They, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers continue to lose, Carolina's got a shot of stealing this NFC South title away from Tampa, Florida.
Right, exactly. So let's switch gears here. It's going to be 1 versus 2 on Saturday in Indiana, and I don't know why College Game Day is not going to Indiana, because I think that's a little bit more.
I know.
Than Alabama and Georgia. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So let's bring in Sammy Jacobs, who covers the Hoosiers for Hoosier Huddle. So, hi, Sammy. How you doing?
We're doing great. How are you guys?
Not
Good.
bad. Oh, yeah. I'm just waiting for conference title games on Saturday. That's a big thing going on here. Yeah. We're just
Oh
waiting.
yeah, we got plenty to do until then. We've got signing day tomorrow. We've got all the game prep and all that stuff, and so man, I'm excited for Saturday, but time could slow down a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I know Kurt Sigonelli. I know him personally because he was down in Harrisonburg, Virginia, winning the CAA. So I know what your coach is. Yeah, cocky. Yeah, I met him the first time when he was in Elon during the CA Media Day, and I'm thinking to myself, who is this cocky SOB? Yeah, he walked in like he owns his program, and he did a great job at Elon, did a great job at JMU, and now you guys just seeing what he's doing, what he did at JMU at Indiana. So, what's it like having Kurt Sigonelli around, in Indiana?
Yeah, it's definitely been a culture change under Signetti. He came in. He gets the reputation of being cocky. He has the right to be cocky as well, seeing what he's accomplished. But, when he came in, IU was coming off of, a 3-year period where they only won 9 games, and the fan base was dormant at best, maybe dead. Is a better word, and he needed to rile people up. So he said what he said at the basketball game. That's the best way to fire up the Indiana fan base is to tell them that Purdue sucks. And then he went on and said, so does Michigan and Ohio State. But he's backed it up. He's won now 23 games in 2 years with IU. You get to the school's first Big Ten title game. I still think that, Ohio State and Indiana should claim the share of the, Big Ten regular season. I still think that's the thing, or it should be. These conference title games are just a money grab now with the playoff and things like that. But, it's still 1 versus 2, but he's come in, changed the culture. Even going to practice is a big change. He gets, every college coach you've heard talk says, oh, we don't have enough practice time. We don't have enough practices. We could always use more. He's like, yeah, we practice for 90 minutes. We come in, get our work done, go home. We don't need all our spring practices. I've never taken all our fall practices. And it's like, okay, who's this guy? You're going against the grain on every conventional thought. But his practices are super efficient. And, just like any job, if you have a boss who says, wouldn't you love to work in a place where you come in, get your work done and go home? Not go, hey, you have to come in at 9 and you have to leave at 5, no matter what gets done in that period. If you come in, as long as your work gets done before a certain time, you could go. And he's just, Indiana finally invested in the program. They gave him a new big contract, and that's what it is. Indiana finally realized that they needed to be good at football, put the money into it, and realized, hey, we can. This is actually possible. To the extent at which he's won is probably on the higher end of everybody's dreams, but there was no reason other than that they didn't want to invest or didn't want to be good at football that was holding them back.
Yeah. Well, the Hoosiers haven't beat Ohio State since 1988, so this could be the end of that long streak. That I think in 1988, I think the Dodgers won the World Series, and that ended a couple of years ago. So this thing should be ended soon.
Yeah, it's a streak it's gone on far too long. IU's been close a couple of times. You look at 2015, Indiana's a shot to tie and maybe go for 2 for the win inside the 10-yard line, incomplete pass. You look at 2020 when Michael Penix threw for a gazillion yards and nearly came back in that game. There was a weird 2012 game that was 52-49 with like 4 onside kicks that IU recovered. That just, if there's 5 more minutes in that game, maybe IU pulls it out. 2014, Tevin goes wild at Ohio Stadium, but that's it. You don't have a quarterback or anybody else there. So it's been close. And then last year, you thought you had a chance to go in there and maybe shock the world. And, admittedly, Kirk Cincinnati said the moment was too big for them. And it was. They had a lead in the first quarter. A drop punt snap turned a 7-0 game into a 7-7 game or a 14-7 game. And then a bad punt coming out of halftime turns it into 21-7. That's basically all she wrote there. So this year they feel better about that. You bring in a guy like Pat Coogan on the offensive line who's played in big games at Notre Dame. He's played in the playoff. He's played, I think, 3 or 4 games against Ohio State in the last 4 years. While he's with the Irish, he knows what to expect. He knows how to prepare. He knows how to deal with crowd noise, which they've done. And this is also an Indiana team. Every challenge that they faced this year, and people doubted them basically up until the Oregon game. Is, Illinois is going to come in and beat them. Well, they beat Illinois 63-10. Well, Iowa's going to get them. It's a trap game. Kinnick's tough to play with. And Iowa almost got them. But guess what? You had a fourth quarter comeback at Kinnick Stadium, which is a tough thing to do in a very loud environment, and won there. Well, now it's over. They're going to Autzen. Nobody wins at Autzen. Nobody wins at Autzen except for IU because they're 2-0 there.
Sure.
But, you go up there, you face some adversity, throwing a pick six to tie the game at 20 in the fourth quarter, and your quarterback leads you down. And then, Penn State's kind of a trap game. They're struggling, but they're still super talented. Man, they're down by 4 with down by 4 with a minute and a half left. You just got sacked. How are they going to pull this one? Well, they pulled it out by the slimmest of margins. The slimmest of margins against Penn State with probably the best catch of the year, maybe the best catch of the decade in college football. So I think they're more prepared for this challenge. I think they have the personnel who is not going to go into this game being intimidated by Ohio State after kind of freezing in the big moments last year where Ohio State and Notre Dame were better. They were. But Indiana didn't play their type of game that they wanted to. And we'll see. That's what I think is the big thing on Saturday is, look, IU went into Oregon, was aggressive, played their brand of football, and won. You cannot let Ohio State dictate play.
Right, exactly. And Ohio State is a very, very well-sounded team. Even if they had people going on to the NFL, so I guess they have a pipeline. All the good players they get from transfer portals. They just line up the next one after the next one after the next one. Yeah,
I mean they're number one. Somehow they're the number one team in the country who's gone undefeated and have flown under the radar. Maybe that's ESPN being the SEC bias and all that stuff, but there are other sports outlets. This team, going into the season, my thought was, man, they still got Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. They'll replace people at linebacker and running back and all these other places. The biggest question mark was the quarterback. He had a redshirt freshman that hasn't started before. How is he going to adjust? He got off to a kind of slow start. And, if they beat Texas, there's a long runway up into the Michigan game or even to the Penn State game at that point. And he's played really well. They protected him. And he has 2 all-universe receivers to throw to in Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. And then the defense is the best defense in the country. They don't allow more than 10 points, and it's shocking if they allow more than 10 points in a game. Caden Curry, who's an Indiana kid, is playing well for them. Averill, the linebackers, is playing. They just always have dudes, and you kind of knew that this team is probably going to win it all again if their quarterback plays well, and he's played phenomenally. So, if Indiana could get pressure on him, which Michigan did not, maybe he can make a few mistakes. But it's going to be a great game. It's also probably the whoever performs better at quarterback probably wins the Heisman.
All right.
Adam, you have another question?
Yeah, so you mentioned quarterback, Sammy, and let's talk about your quarterback, Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
Transferred from Cal, and no one really knew what to expect from him after coming over, from the ACC, to the Big Ten, to Indiana. So what's your overall take on how Fernando Mendoza has done this year in Bloomington?
I mean, he's done phenomenal is the short and simple answer. But, coming over from, the Atlantic Coast Conference stalwart, California, on the Pacific Ocean, he had games at Auburn. He had games against Miami where he flashed his potential. And you could see it, and he led his 98 yards with the boys' drive against Stanford at the end of the year as well. But, we kind of got tipped off to how good he was going to be when he threw it pro day to IU's receivers. And another writer said to me, hey, the NFL scout I know said, this guy's pretty damn good. So that was like, okay, we could trust our eyes, and if this guy is agreeing with it, then, we're probably right. He has all the arm talent in the world. He's very cerebral and I say this lovingly, he's kind of a dweeb. He is. I mean, he started his Big Ten championship game press conference like, hello, I'm Fernando Mendoza, and I'm the quarterback at Indiana University. It's like, dude, we know who you are. It's not a job interview. But he prepares, he's kind of like a mini SIG in that he's just fanatical in his preparation. And he's mobile enough to escape pressure. He's good at throwing on the run. But his bounce back from those just killer picks sometimes. The one at Oregon, there's one at Iowa, one at Penn State, and the bounce back to come back and lead drives it speaks a lot to his character and the culture that Cignetti put in it, one play at a time. Each play has a life of its own, and each play goes for 6 seconds, and then it's over. And I just think he embodies that perfectly, and he's a perfect fit at Indiana. I think Cignetti said in an interview with Nicole Auerbach, she asked if he was the best quarterback in the country, and Sig said, well, he's the best quarterback for Indiana. And he couldn't have put it any better than that. He's the best quarterback for this team. And we'll see how he plays on Saturday. He struggled against Purdue throwing a cold ball, but it's in the Dome this Saturday. But the heat will be coming from Ohio State. They have some grabby defensive backs there as well. But Indiana's not going to back down from them. They have some physical wide receivers in Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper. Yes. Charlie Becker has come on. EJ Williams missed the Purdue game, but hopefully he's back for Ohio State. The running game is good too. And, you just in this game, it's an unnecessary game. There's a lot of meaning to it for both sides. But it's a game where you're like, okay, just nobody get hurt to where it like kind of derails the rest of the postseason. But it would be a huge meaningful win if Indiana knocks off Ohio State on Saturday.
Exactly. And plus, I will say this, I believe last time Indiana beat Ohio State, I think that Anthony Thompson was the running back for Indiana. And it's like, so I remember that. I don't know how, but it's like that was what Indiana, that was really before a lot of people just knew about Indiana. They didn't know about Indiana football. All they knew was Indiana basketball, thanks to Bobby Knight. So Chris and I will be in Charlotte for the ACC championship game, but we will
have our buddy, one of our co-hosts, Matt Triccanelli, will be out there as well, out in Indiana. So I'll get him to meet you, so you guys could, get to know.
Yes, yeah.
Gives us somebody to see and know. Yeah.
Yeah. There'll be. It's a big day in Indianapolis. IU basketball.
Oh yeah.
Number 6 Louisville in Indianapolis that afternoon. So we'll be running around different arenas for different sports.
Oh,
all
we're going to be
day.
doing we're going to do the Virginia thing because Virginia's playing Dayton basketball right down where the Bobcats are, and then we're going to walk over to Bank of America for the game.
It's the Hornets, Chris.
Yeah, so we're doing the same thing. We're doing the
yeah.
You're doing the Indiana thing. So
yeah.
All right, Sammy, I appreciate coming on, and you have fun on Saturday night, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, enjoy Charlotte, enjoy the ACC title game, which could be absolute chaos. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Sammy.
All right, see ya.
Bye. All right, this is Sammy Jacobs for the Hoosier Huddle. Indiana taking on Ohio State on Saturday night, and Matt Cicchinelli will be there in person, so we'll get some.
Oh, he is.
Yes, he will. I just texted him. He said he will be doing it. So we bring in our let's bring in our club football. Yes, club football. Coppin State brings back their club football team, and we have the coach on the phone with us, Coach Franklyn Herrera, who is the head coach and defensive coordinator of Coppin State club football team, who's on the phone. So, Coach, thanks for joining us tonight here on the program. And how was practice tonight?
You know what? Which you guys, can you hear me good?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Good. You know what? Practice went well tonight. You know what? It's a nice cold night, preparing us for for that weather up there in Ohio. So you know what? We just been hitting our normal practice schedule that we've been hitting from the whole rest of the year, and got in some good physical work tonight.
Yeah. So talk about playing. Coppin State playing in their championship game against Ohio State. So I guess Ohio State will be busy doing the real thing in Indianapolis, and then you got the club team playing in Toledo. So it's going to be a long weekend for all Ohio State people because they don't know which one to watch. So let's talk about your game against Ohio State. This is basically a rematch, right?
Yes, you know what? Really, we were able to get to the Final Four last year. We played them in that Final Four game at Toledo at the Glass Bowl, which is where the national championship game is this year. And you know what? They put it on us. It was 52-0. We went up there and just really the guys weren't ready for the moment. We had a very young team, mostly freshmen. We had 43 freshmen that year. So you know what, that team was ready to go, and that was their 5th year getting to those playoffs and getting to that national championship in a row. So really, you know what, we needed. We've done a lot of work to bring in new guys, to get our young guys stronger and better, and to be in a better position this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Adam, you have a question for him?
Yeah, so Ohio State is the defending champions in club football. So what would it mean for you to knock off the defending national champs in Ohio State?
Yes, you know what? It'd be huge for us. It'd be huge for our program. It'd be huge for our administration. It'd be big for our guys. You know, Coppin State had won 2 national championships in 2012 and in 2013. And since then, you know what, had some good years, but then ended up closing down that program for a couple years and bringing it back 4 years ago. When they brought it back 4 years ago, it was very minimal games and just trying to get back to where they were. So really, you know, for us to be able to go from 4 years ago, just coming back, having 24 guys on the team, playing 4 games that season, to being able to be 9-0 this year on our 4th year and be able to be back in that national championship is big for us. But you know what? We got to take care of business and we got to win it. You know, getting there is not the goal. The goal is to get there and make it happen. So it would be big, and it would open up a lot of opportunities for us to continue to grow. Yeah.
So explain what club football is, because a lot of people don't know there's club football. But you guys have teams that George Mason has a club team. You guys have a club team. Michigan State has a club team. I didn't realize they had a club team. South Carolina, who you had a forfeit last week with them. Right. So just explain to folks what club football is, because people know about Ohio State taking on Michigan. What is club football? What are they allowed to do?
Right. So you know what, club football, and I'll tell you, even I didn't know about it. You know, when I got the job and got the opportunity, you know, I had to ask some questions and see what it is. So club football, we play for a league. It's called the NCFA. That NCFA has teams around the country, and basically, you know, it's just another level of football. It's another level of college football. We play NCAA rules. The rules are just like the NCAA. We have a GPA that we need to maintain. It is lower than the NCAA. We need to maintain a 2.0 GPA to be able to play. But the big thing with club, the thing that makes us, I would say it's similar to a JUCO and a prep school in that it's giving guys an opportunity to get extra film. The thing that makes us stand out, the reason we've been able to get recruits is because it does not take away from your NCAA eligibility. So you'd be able to come and play here without losing NCAA eligibility. Now, you would still lose. You got 7 years to play 5 years of sports in the NCAA. So if you're a full-time student and you played here, let's say 2 years, you would still have 5 years of eligibility moving forward at an NCAA program. The other thing that I think is big about club is, especially with this NIL stuff, it has opened up the opportunity for us to get a lot of good players that maybe are all state, all region, all district, but did not get picked up because a whole bunch of seniors aren't getting picked up now, and they're getting these transfers instead, these guys that have already done it, already played, already lifted. So really that's opening up the door for us to be able to find guys that did not find a spot or did not find any money to go somewhere scholarship-wise and are still looking for an opportunity to play and an opportunity to go to school. So really that club league is like I say, I'd say it's similar to a JUCO or a prep school. The difference is all of our teams are at four-year universities. So that's kind of the example of what we are.
Okay, cool. That's a great explanation. Now I understand. So basically, the kids are still going to school and they're still getting a degree, but they could play club football. But you know, maybe one day, you know, we could see Coppin State in the MEAC with Morgan State and North Dakota State, Norfolk State. You never know.
You know what? You never know. And really, you know what? That's the goal. The goal when I got the job, when they brought it back, was to come back, to bring the program back, but to grow the program. So, you know, we are still in this club league, and we're happy and proud to be in it and try to represent it well. But, you know, the goal is to continue to move forward, to continue to get good players, to continue to win, so that, hey, hopefully maybe we can move up a level and just continue to be able to do something here at Coppin that I know everybody can be proud of.
That's true. Adam, you have one more, you have the last question, bud.
Sure. So, Coach, you know, I never knew about club football until I learned about it as well. So, is there a way for, you know, people who don't know about club football, how they can get involved?
Oh, definitely. You know what? I think that's a great question. I know our league right now, that NCFA, they're trying to grow as well. They are looking for schools that want to bring a football team back, and there's a whole bunch of different things that a whole bunch of different teams that may have interest in that. But really, on that website, and I can even send something over after this call just to kind of put it out there. There is a process of just becoming eligible for that, talking with the school, talking with the administration. And you know what? The truth is, like, here at Coppin, we're lucky that we have a lot of support from our administration. George Mason as well, Columbus State down in Georgia, Ohio State. They get a lot of support from their administration to make things happen. Some club teams don't have as much support, and they're more student-run organizations, you know. So really, like, even if you had a lot of support from your college or not, there is an opportunity if you guys that are ready and that are trying to move up and play some competitive ball.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah. So, Coach, I know you just got done with practice, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. And where can people watch this game on Saturday? I know we got all the conference championship games, but I know people in Baltimore may not want to watch Ohio State and Indiana, in the Big Ten championship. Where can they watch your game?
You know what? It's going to be on Cold Club Sports TV.
Okay.
If you go to the ncfafootball.org, ncfafootball.org will have a link for that game. They'll have a little link to get tickets if anybody's in the area to get out to that game as well. But I'd say that'd be the best way to find it. And same thing, I can also send a little link to you guys right after this call. If that interests you.
Yeah. Send it to us. We'll put it on.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll put it on the end of the program for people to tune in. So hopefully you get a lot of good ratings from Baltimore. That'll be good.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and have a safe trip to Toledo, Ohio. And I've been there once because I had to pick up a car, so I know where the Maumee River is. So so I know where that is. So I went over, because when we were kids, Adam and I, we used to watch bowling on TV, and they used to have a tour stop in Toledo. It was the national championship, so it was pretty funny. There's the national championship in Toledo, but it's football on Saturday.
Exactly.
All right, man.
Well, you know what, fellas? Hey, thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest, right? And you know what? Hopefully, I did all right job here in this interview. But
you did good. You did good.
Take a call with me.
Well, appreciate you coming on. We'd love to get you on next year, or if you guys win on Saturday, we'd love to get you on the following week.
100%.
All right, Coach. Have a great trip to Toledo. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, definitely. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right, see you. Bye.
See you.
I learned more about club football than I ever have.
Yes. We do a lot of weird things on this program.
Well, yeah, and it's a good
Because
thing.
I feel like we should show different things in the world is besides, we got the Big Ten, we got the ACC, we got all. There's other sports that have their title games this weekend.
True, yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool. So that's Coach Herrera, who is the head coach and defensive coordinator for Coppin State Club football. They play Saturday at 1:00 in Toledo against the Ohio State Club Buckeyes. Yeah, hopefully Ohio State goes 0-2. So anyway, let's bring Adam. You'll bring this next guest in. We're going to talk. I think we're going to be talking SEC football.
Yep. So, folks, down in the ATL on Saturday, it is a Power Time Conference Championship game between the Alabama Crimson Tide, led by quarterback Ty Simpson, head coach Kalen DeBoer. They have to make the trip and face a really good Georgia Bulldogs team led by head coach Kirby Smart, quarterback Gunnar Stockton. So to get us in an SEC kind of mood, let's bring in the manager for Bama Roll. Joshua Chatham is joining us tonight. So Josh, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and let's talk SEC football. These two teams are no strangers to each other, and Alabama is on a hot streak now after suffering a loss to Florida State to start the season. So what's your take on how Alabama has done since that opening week 1 loss to the Seminoles?
Oh, thanks for having me. First of all, no question about it. It's funny to see Alabama and Georgia. After all of the conference expansion and the different things, the season goes along. You get to the end of the season, it's Alabama and Georgia and Atlanta again, right? As far as how the season's gone, there's no question that Alabama has had a pretty brutal run, pretty tough schedule. They certainly have not been blowing teams out. It's been a survive and advance type of year. There have been times the Auburn game was the most recent where they were up 17-0, and you felt like that team could go ahead maybe this time and get it done. Go ahead and put the foot on the neck, so to speak. And this team just can't seem to do it. It's almost like they have to struggle. They're not happy if they're not struggling. So there's probably good and bad in that. There's the good thing is that they're battle tested. They've won a lot of games late. That matters in the playoffs. But by the same token, you always wonder if they're going to run into somebody that's good enough to just kind of separate, and then what would they do at that point? So definitely has not been an upward trajectory for Alabama, even though they've been winning, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like since that Florida State game, Coach DeBoer got ridiculed from everybody. Even the Tennessee fans were doing the chop behind him when he was talking. And to me, that's like, did Alabama put everything? Did in that game against Florida State? Did Alabama didn't realize how great Florida State was, or was it just poor planning, or what happened? Because I feel like I thought Alabama was going to steamroll Florida State. I did too. Yeah, and we didn't think Florida State had a chance because last year we were 2-10. So, what did you see on that game? It seemed like to me, I was like, "What happened here? This is interesting."
Well, Florida State certainly isn't great, and they've proven they're not great since then. Okay,
that's true. That's true.
In hindsight, that was certainly a quote unquote upset, even though it really didn't look like an upset that day. I mean, Florida State won the game. I mean, there weren't lucky bounces or whatever. I think personally, my take on it has been, especially as this has gone along, as the season's gone along, I think in this era with the transfer portal, I think season openers are probably going to be kind of weird. Obviously, there's not especially when you've got a big season opener like that, where you've got the two teams that are basically two brand new rosters playing against each other. You haven't scrimmaged anybody but yourself. It's not like the NFL where there are preseason tune-ups a little bit. Of course, the starters in the NFL don't really play, I guess. But, I just think you're still feeling your way out a little bit. You also had a situation there where you had a quarterback starting his first ever college game, and it was on the road. Again, FSU very much wanted, their fan base was there and loud and wanting to see a victory after such a tough season, hoping to have they were actually ranked at the time and thought they might have I think they may not have been ranked, but they were ranked after that. But they're basically their fan base was pretty confident coming in, really wanting to see something out of the team. And I think Florida State I think it was just a perfect storm for them. And Alabama, of course, they didn't play very well. Ty Simpson was pretty hesitant in that game. I think he grew up some from that. Certainly don't blame him for it. The defense was the main issue. I do think that the loss of Tim Keenan before the game, the big nose tackle, they lost him just a couple days before the game, and they were playing a couple of freshmen. That was a pretty big. He's kind of the leader of the defensive line. That certainly did not help matters, especially when you're playing a Gus Malzahn team that rather not pass the ball ever. I think it was just a combination of things. But bottom line is they didn't play a very good game that day, and Florida State executed a lot better. And so, that's college football. It happens. But like they definitely improved from there to the Georgia game. And then from the Georgia game, it feels like they've kind of been stagnant. I'm not sure I've seen a ton of improvement, at least not on offense. I think defense has probably come along during the year. But I think they've kind of been playing about the same level they played against Georgia last time.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the game on Saturday. People didn't think Alabama and Georgia are going to play each other for the second straight time in the season, like they did, last couple of seasons. This time, they thought Texas A&M was going to be in there, but they laid an egg against Texas, so that brings Alabama into the play to be in the college football in the SEC title game, and then Georgia, did their thing. So these two teams are easily matched, and they played each other really well in the first game, this season. So that was all the way back in September, pretty much. So. Is a lot of things different for the Georgia team that you saw back in September?
Well, Georgia certainly they've had an interesting season because they peaked against Texas. I mean, they blew Texas out 35-10. I mean, that's a good football team, and they blew them out of the water, right? But then you watch them against Georgia Tech last week. Alabama fans are frustrated. Ty Simpson was awful against Auburn, 3.5 yards a pass, abysmal. And then he threw for 122 yards. Then you look at Gunnar Stockton. He throws for 70 yards and 3.3 a pass against Georgia Tech, right? And Georgia's offense last week was actually worse than Alabama's offense was, as bad as Alabama's offense looked for much of that game. Georgia's defense didn't give up the two explosive plays that Alabama's defense did, and that's why Alabama gave up some points. They had 14 points on two passes that were 60-plus yards that were catch and run deals. So it's two close games, obviously, but these two teams are so similar. I mean, they're just mirror images of each other. Alabama over the course of the year has had a little bit better defense. Georgia probably a little bit better offense, certainly a much better running game with Frazier and Bowens. But yeah, these two teams are closely matched, man. This is a 50-50 type game. All the data says it's 50-50. The point spread's about 50-50. I mean, it's going to come down to 2 or 3 plays in the ball game, and it could go either way.
And you have another question?
Yeah. So you mentioned Alabama's quarterback in Ty Simpson. Yes, yeah, it wasn't easy to go on the road, to Tallahassee, to face Florida State, but just talk about how he's matured since that game, going into this SEC championship game versus Georgia.
Well, I think you have to say that he's matured for sure in terms of he has had quite a few. The last game included, obviously, through a fourth and 2 touchdown pass to win the ball game. Right, a huge comeback drive against South Carolina. Had obviously beat Georgia in the close game. It's time after time he's been able to put it together when it mattered the most. That's been obviously where you can kind of see him growing up. Obviously, that's when games are won. You get into a close game, and then you got the clutch. You need a quarterback that can deliver, and he's done that. He definitely has. He probably had one of his best games against Georgia, and I do think that there was some benefit for him, and there wasn't too much film on him yet. Now we've got a season's worth, so Georgia's going to be able to prepare a little bit better for him. Now, I think it's probably fair to say Alabama could also do the same with Stockton, and that's probably why both of them struggled last weekend, because I'm not sure that either of those guys are necessarily, not your traditional. I'm not sure that traditional superstar quarterback, unless it's Mendoza at Indiana, I don't know that guy's in the playoffs. So I wouldn't put either one of these guys in that category, but I definitely think that Ty, he throws a nice ball. He takes a few too many sacks sometimes. Got to learn to get rid of the football a little bit faster. I think every college team kind of complains about that with their quarterback. But I think that's the biggest thing is he's been clutch, and that's as long as he continues to do that. That's kind of how legends are made, right?
True to that, Josh. That's true, brother.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. So, Alabama has had some really close games this year. Looking at their schedule, they lost by 2 to Oklahoma. They won by 11 versus LSU. They won by 7 at South Carolina. 1 by 17 versus Tennessee. So do you expect this to be a close game on Saturday night like it was when these two teams faced earlier in the year in Athens?
I would expect it to be very similar, and I would expect probably the score to be about the same in terms of, I see both teams probably landing in the 20s. It's probably going to be that kind of game, and it's going to be body blows the entire game. But yes, I absolutely would expect a very close game. Obviously, I hope Alabama wins, but if you put me on the spot and ask me to pick a winner, I'll pick Alabama because I'm a homer. But realistically, again, it's got to be a coin toss game. It's going to come down to who makes a couple big plays.
Yeah, I think Alabama does win this game, and I think it's behind Ty Simpson and what he's done all year long. I know it's probably going to be 50-50 regarding fans or 70-30, but I think that this could easily come down to a one-possession game, walk-off field goal, walk-off touchdown, etc. And if I wasn't in Charlotte on Saturday, I would be glued to my TV here in North Carolina watching the SEC championship game and just enjoying a really classic matchup.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. And these two teams, again, you're talking about obviously Alabama does probably have some sort of a psychological edge because they have beat Georgia over and over again. And they haven't blown them out by any stretch. It's always been close. Somehow Alabama keeps beating them. And when that happens, the team kind of gets in your kitchen, so to speak, a little bit. But the thing about these two teams is, again, you're talking one state over. You're talking, obviously, Kirby came up under Saban. Yeah, you got these players. It's not Georgia and Alabama don't really have a hate thing, but there's more of a respect thing because both teams or both programs are usually up near the top, and you're going to see a lot of hard hitting, a lot of high effort. It's going to be a fun football game. There's no question about that.
Sure. Oh, it'll be a great game, and that's why it's great to be on ABC at 4:00, and then hopefully that ACC game will be okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Josh, I appreciate you joining us, and enjoy the game on Saturday. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, man. All right, that's Josh Turningham, who covers Alabama for his publication Roll Bama Roll. So that's the SEC title game, and that's on at 4:00 on ABC, just before the ACC championship. So that's good. Well, we're going to wrap up our show with a old friend of ours we had on our program. Adam, you want to bring him in?
Yeah. So now we've been to the East Coast. We've been to the Midwest. Well, now it's time to head west, and we're going to Vegas. And how, if you're wondering how it was determined that Boise State and UNLV would play, all because of a computer. You heard me right, a computer.
Dude, you're making this sound so great.
Yeah, and so to get us in a Las Vegas kind of mood and get us in a Mountain West Conference kind of mood, let's bring in the talented voice of the running Rebels of UNLV. Our good friend, Mr. Matt Neverett, is joining us tonight. So, Matt, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And just to talk about, having a computer decide the Mountain West Conference championship game on Friday.
Yeah, happy to be back with you guys. Definitely a weird one, and not the first time this has happened, and not the first time this has happened to UNLV as well. This is just kind of the most publicized one that we've seen. 2 years ago, not last season, with UNLV and Boise State playing that playoff eliminator game, but the year before that, it was whoever was going to play against Boise State was going to be a computer, simulation, so to speak. And it's a weird one, and it's it's one of those things like working in a sports book. You talk about being in a Las Vegas attitude, Las Vegas state of mind. Well, one of the jobs I've had out here a couple of years ago was working behind the counter at a sports book, selling tickets on bets. And, one of the things that I learned from that job was that all you can do as a sports book when there's a discrepancy or an argument over a rule or a points bet or something is you lay the rules out ahead of time and you vigilantly follow them. And that's all you can do. And from a gaming board perspective, that's all they ask you to do. So it's similar to this for the Mountain West. Is it the best system to decide the participants and the host of the championship game? Probably not, in my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I don't think it's necessarily the best way, but all they can do, similar to a sports book, is set the rules, go by the rules. And if you're wondering why Boise State is hosting, even though UNLV, when all was said and done, had the best rating, it's because once you decide the participants, then they go back to a head-to-head to decide the home and road team. In Boise State defeated UNLV earlier this season. But it's the third straight Mountain West championship game between these two. And I got a great note that I'm going to use during the broadcast. It is the third time in FBS history that the same team has met in the last in 3 seasons in a row in the conference championship game. So really cool. Boise State's looking to become just the first ever to win 3 straight over the same opponent like that.
And these schools are heading to the Pac-12, right?
Just Boise State. So it's kind of a, defector versus old guard, so to speak, mentality when it comes to UNLV versus Boise State.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like all these schools are now in the Mountain West, and some are going to the new Pac-12 or Pac-8 or whatever the heck you want to call it next year. And you guys are going to be there. And you guys started off the season really well, 6-0. Before you came to just play against Boise, and you had to go out there to that blue field. But it was actually warmer that time. This time you're going in the cold.
Yeah, and it's a place that I'm kind of tired of going to because I do the basketball as well. So I'm in Boise often, and these are two teams that are probably pretty tired of seeing each other. It's their fifth matchup in the last 25 months. That's 5 times in just about 2 years. So these guys are very familiar with each other. And then Boise State just playing at home does not lose. So it's the UNLV trying to really get over their boogeyman, so to speak. That's been Boise State and Spencer Danielson over these last couple of years, and there's no Ashton Genty this year, so we'll see. I think that UNLV, despite the fact that they got smoked 56-31 in the game earlier this year in Boise, I think they've got probably the best chance out of the 3 conference championship game matchups this year.
Yeah. Well, man, I got to ask you a question. You're a broadcaster. With that blue field, how hard is it to see a blue jersey on top of a blue jersey on a blue field? To me, it's really hard. It's like the one in East Washington, the red field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Jesus, what the heck is going on? But blue field's fine. I know in Central Arkansas they have a gray field.
It's like gray and purple.
Yeah, gray and purple.
Yeah,
I'm like crazy. So for you being a broadcaster, is it good to see a blue field, or is it hard for you to pick out the numbers?
Can't forget about Eastern Michigan up there in Ypsilanti.
Yes.
Field that looks like that always just reminds me of carpet. Like I had a church basketball league I played in as a kid where the gym had a carpeted floor. I think everyone has seen one of those, and for some reason it makes me think of that. But the blue turf is weird. I don't think it's something that you'll ever get used to. The contrast is pretty interesting. But the one thing that is good, despite the fact that I'm so far away when we're calling those games, is A, I've got my binoculars with me. I never leave home without those when I'm calling a game. And B, the fact that the numbers by rule have to be a contrasting color, whether that's white or orange. Usually it's a blue jersey, white number, kind of an orange line on the number. So it definitely does help. That didn't used to be the rule in Boise State. One of the reasons why they have that rule, because they used to have all blue jerseys with blue numbers and like a little white outline, and they would have a guy on the kickoff return lay in the end zone and try to hide. It was a mess until they cleaned up that rule across the board.
Crazy. Well, I got to ask you something. You worked with your dad, one of these broadcasts. How cool was it to work with your dad? Because I know he's such a great broadcaster, and he just got off watching the Dodgers win the World Series again. Do you guys have a good chemistry with each other? Like you don't like, Dad, let me call the play, Dad. Like come on, Dad. Like how do you guys work together as a team? Because I know it's cool. So some days I like to work with my dad, but some days I'm like, my dad is kind of like, Dad, please go away.
Yeah, they say never mix family and business, but it's gone well so far for the both of us. No, it was great. The Mountain West doesn't want any teams doing any simulcasts anymore as far as TV and radio. So whenever games, the very few a year that aren't picked up by national media, they want there to be a separate television and radio broadcast for those. So my dad, because he had the time, with the Dodger season coming to a close when UNLV played New Mexico a month ago, just over a month ago, like a month ago and 2 days, back at Allegiant Stadium, I did the TV broadcast. He called the radio side of things, and it's a lot of fun to kind of help him prepare for some of these games, because for me, I'm around these guys every day. I'm around the program every day, so the storylines come a little bit more naturally, almost as if you were, throughout the course of a baseball season, you develop a rapport and a relationship with the team and the players. For him, it's a little bit harder to drop in, do a game, and then drop out. So I love being able to help him with that, and he's always able to help me with my on-air product. So it's kind of a good symbiotic relationship, so to speak.
Do you carry his bags to the stadium, or you tell your dad, like, Dad,
No,
he's
filling in for me. It's his turn, right?
Yeah, it's your turn, Dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Or who buys meals? Who buys the dinner? That's the question.
Stadium, baby.
My father brings out the $20 bill, like, here, son. Thank you for driving up here. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Hey, that's one of the best parts about doing what I do for work, is that a lot of the meals are paid for at the stadiums.
That's cool. I know. But I'm thinking, like, after the game, your dad was like, "You want to come over to the house for dinner tomorrow?" Yes.
I mean, he is still my dad. I'll let him pay for whatever he wants.
I know. Not watching. Yeah. Sorry, Tim. Yeah.
Hi, Tim.
Anyway. This is going to be a great weekend of football. You guys start Friday night. We got the Sun Belt. We got you guys on, on Fox, and then on Saturday everybody's playing. It's one of those great weekends that this time of year it's like almost like Christmas. You got every game on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday everybody starts looking at the college football playoff, going, "Why my team up there?"
Yeah,
it's like, why? But for you, it's probably a cool experience doing a championship game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This will be my third championship game that I've been involved in consecutively, so that's great. Second straight in Boise, and it just by the way that the schedule happens to break down, I'm able to go and do the game and fly home with the team. That's been a rarity this time of year because of the basketball kind of crossover schedule. I've been flying to and from a lot of these games by myself. But Dan Mullen had said that in his press conference yesterday that between the 9 conference champions and the 2 teams playing for the national championship, there's 20 teams more or less still alive that have a chance to be champions. And even if you take out the national championship, he said that he is as proud as anybody could ever be about anything, that his team is one of the 18 that's playing this weekend. And it's an honor. And he said that their goal, as much as any team wants to every year, is it's not to go undefeated. It is to win a conference championship. And his big thing is they wanted to be a better team at the end of the season than at the beginning. And I think a couple of numbers underscore that. Finished up some of my notes today. UNLV in the last 4 games defensively. You remember early in the year they had a lot of struggles defensively. The last 4 games have given up 63 points total. In the 3 games before that, they had allowed 147. So you want to talk about a defensive turnaround. You talk about the Mountain West and one of the nation's top offenses. They're 12th in the country in points per game. They're going to set a school record in points per game. And they've got a chance to take down Boise State, who they've lost to 10 times in a row. They haven't beaten in 50 years. It's been since America's bicentennial that UNLV team has beaten Boise State all the way back in November of 1976. So I think that there's some guys on this team that have been here for 5 years and have seen a Rebel team lose to Boise State every time. And I think if there is an opportunity to get over that hump, so to speak, it is with the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, Anthony Calandria, and first-team all-conference running back Jet Thomas, who's coming off a career game with 4 rushing touchdowns on 11 carries last week against UNR. So we'll see. They come in with as much momentum as anybody outside of New Mexico in all of college football. And they've got an opportunity here in a short week in a road game to get the monkey off their back, exercise some of these demons against Boise State.
Yeah. Well, Adam, you want to bring last question for him?
Yeah. So obviously, you guys are coming off beating 2 consecutive rivals, Hawaii, and you beat UNR for the legendary Fremont Cannon. So does that give the Rebels motivation going in to the Mountain West Conference championship game versus Boise State on Friday night in Boise, Idaho?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, this is a game where you hear coaches say it, and Dan Mullen said it earlier this week, where if you have to motivate a guy for this game, then he's on the wrong team. With all the storylines that go into play, they come in with momentum. They come in seemingly having figured some things out on the defensive end, which is really the only reason that they lost any games this year, was because their defense let them down back-to-back weeks against really Boise State and New Mexico, but even that week before that against Air Force, where it was 3 games, 147 points. The defense was atrocious, and they'd be the first to tell you that. But they've made adjustments. The offense has been humming all year. They've been held to under 30 points in 1 game all season long, and they scored 29 in that game. And because Memphis was held to I think it was 17 points, under 20 points in their last game, UNLV now has the nation's longest streak of 20 or more points consecutively. 34 straight regular season games. They've scored 20 or more points. And like I said, you can basically put 30 points on the board for UNLV when the game starts. That's the minimum that you can expect. So if the defense is able to really make a bunch of turnarounds against a Boise State team that has been injured, against a team that has their starting quarterback in Maddox Madsen coming back after missing just about 3 games, you wonder how that affects any kind of offensive rhythm or chemistry that they've developed with Max Cutford, the backup, over the last couple of weeks. I don't think this is a team that needs to be motivated. And this also, by the way, a note that I found out today is that this is a team that has been as good as rivalry games over the last couple of years as any. The 2 trophies they played for against Hawaii and UNR, the Golden Pineapple and the Fremont Cannon, they've won 7 straight trophy games dating back to the last 4 seasons. So they're a team that gets up for the big games. It's just been tough over the last couple of years against Boise State. I'm a little biased. I think this is the year they get over that hump.
Hey, it's called. I'll agree. And I mean, you mentioned you guys have the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year and also a sensational running back. And it's like maybe, the UNLV winning streak, can extend, to bring home a championship, to Las Vegas and carry that winning momentum over the basketball side, because I know you guys are 3-5, and that's not what a lot of UNLV fans, basketball fans are used to. I know it's early, but you guys had a really great you guys had a really good non-conference schedule so far, but it's almost conference time in the Mountain West, and the Mountain West is a really good college basketball conference as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's tough. You know, UNLV was fortunate in a lot of ways to be involved in the Players Era Championship here in Vegas last week. I got to put a Thanksgiving turkey in the oven, go leave and call a game against Rutgers at the MGM Grand, and then come back and take it out of the oven a couple of hours later.
Yeah.
That was my Thanksgiving, for those that are curious. But for the program itself, you know, you get $1 million in NIL money donated to the program just for showing up. So they're in it for the next 3 years. That's a guaranteed $3 million for the program. They also get the opportunity to showcase themselves against some of the nation's top teams. They played Maryland and actually were very close against the Terrapins throughout. Got blown out by Alabama, which that is just an unbelievable team. They're one of the best that I've seen up close and personal over the last couple of years. And then held with Rutgers and were leading them at the half and then just completely collapsed in the second half. This is a team playing with basically 8 players. Starting point guard coming in, Miles Che, hurt, hasn't played a minute. Starting center from Arizona, Emmanuel Steffen coming in, hurt his back before the season. The 7-footer hasn't played a minute. Laji Dembele, who was going to come in and play the 4, has been on and off the injured reserve and on and off the end of the bench with a foot injury. And their other starting 5, Jacob Benarbi, pulled a calf right before the first Players Era game and hasn't been able to get it going. I mean, there aren't many teams that are missing their starting 1, starting 5, starting 4, and backup 5. So it's about getting those guys healthy, come into Mountain West Conference play. And they open Mountain West Conference play with Fresno State and Air Force at home, the 2 worst teams in the conference by a wide margin, both of them at the Thomas and Mack Center. That first home game, as I'm looking at my calendar now, or the first road game rather, in January is going to be at Wyoming. So we'll see. They got a chance to start off hot in conference play. It's all about getting healthy, and they've got a week plus off after that Thanksgiving game. They play Stanford this weekend, and then they have an entire week off before their next game, and then they got 5 days off before the third game. So if they're going to get healthy, it's this time. I love what Josh Pastner has brought in, and I love his energy. He makes my job so easy when I interview him because the guy could talk bark off of a tree. So you ask him one question, he goes for 10 minutes, and wham, bam, call it a coach's show, right?
Yeah,
Love it.
that's awesome. Well, Tim, I hope you have a great Matt. Sorry, I called your dad.
I've been
Matt, I hope you have a great weekend with these games, and thanks for coming on. And tell your dad we said hi, and hope everything goes well with you guys.
Absolutely, guys. Anytime. That's this Friday. It's 5 Pacific, 6 Mountain Time, Mountain West Championship, UNLV. The game's on Fox. I appreciate you guys having me on. Go Rebels.
All right, buddy. See you, dude. Bye.
See you, Matt.
See you, Matt. All right, Matt. Matt never. I was thinking about his dad for a minute. Like, crap. That happens. We're not perfect.
I know.
We're not perfect. We're gonna wrap up the show here with some birthdays, real quick. This guy is celebrating a birthday. He passed away years ago, but you probably know him from the Oakland Raiders. So, old man Willie.
Willie
Brown.
Brown, yes.
He was born on this day. Passed away back in 2019. So he intercepted the Vikings 75-yard interception in the Super Bowl. So we don't have the audio where the guy, the broadcaster, old man Willie with the touchdown.
Yeah.
So that's good to see. So that's his birthday. And another birthday shout out to Britney Spears' birthday today.
Oh, really?
Yes, Britney Spears, and also Aaron Rodgers. It's his birthday as well.
Well, it's called Aaron Rodgers didn't get a good birthday present on, a pre-birthday present on Sunday.
He got a broken nose. He got a cut nose.
Yeah, it was nice to see that after what happened versus Houston, it was nice to have Buffalo go on the road and take care of business versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since I have a few friends who are Steelers fans, so it was nice fun.
Well, that's good that the Bills won because that means the Ravens and Steelers are tied. So that's good. So we'll be on this show will be on next Tuesday at 8:00. We're working on our schedule for this weekend and see what we're doing. We might do a brief, show from the stadium on Saturday if we get there early. Maybe we can set something up and see what we can do. before we go on. Before the game starts, you have to be off the air before all the weird.
We did it. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So we'll be on next Tuesday night at 8:00. Before we leave here, this song was the Temptations had a song in 1972, so we're going to play at the end. Papa Was a Rolling Stone. It was #1, and it was actually the longest chart-topping signal on the radio. So we're going to play it here. So we'll see you guys over the weekend down in Charlotte. We leave Thursday, and we'll keep you updated from what we're doing. So until then, I'm Chris Heidel. That's Adam.
Thank you.
And Matt, who's somewhere in Abyss somewheres.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So we leave you with the Temptations here on the show. We'll see you all over the weekend.
Hey, everybody.